Chapter 1353 Su Qiao 1, Yu Qingtang fell into the god of nature's trap again. Can an ancient god fool people around? Don't they have their morals? It was totally impossible to guard against their traps. Just accept it. Since it's your first time here, I can show you something from the star pavilion. The god of nature waved his little hands, and a cluster of stars appeared in front of his eyes. There were numerous spots in the stretch of stars. He touched one of the spots, and then it moved forward. A white jade fan was surrounded by the halo from the star. This is the illusory moon feather fan, a heaven-grade divine weapon. The god of nature touched the feather fan. He waved his hand again to send the fan away and then touched another star. The star enclosed a top-grade elixir. Soul Formation Elixir. It can be used to cultivate immortal and Buddha bloodlines. Yu Qingtang stared at the two treasures in shock. Heaven-grade divine weapon. Soul Formation Elixir. She had never seen these things before. There are more. As long as you complete the mission, you can use your nebula points to exchange them. I'm always very generous to explorers. The god of nature smiled and said. Yu Qingtang looked at the star pavilion that was dispersed by the god of nature with perplexed feelings. The god of nature was an ancient god, and he definitely possessed many treasures. Nothing from those normal mystic realms could compare with these. Though it still felt like a trap. Those things really piqued Yu Qingtang's great interest. Furthermore, she had entered the world, and there was no way that she could leave before completing the mission. The spirit energy here was not bad. Cultivating here for 1 day could be equal to 3 days in the central mainland. Alright. What's the mission? Yu Qingtang said with mixed feelings. She did not trust the god of nature completely. The god of nature smiled, and a light flashed out from his finger into Yu Qingtang's temple. As the light diffused in, strange memories started to appear in Yu Qingtang's brain. Those memories belonged to the owner of this room. The owner was called Su Qiao. Her father was a general, and her mother passed away after giving birth to her. Her father married another woman and had other children. Su Qiao was not born by the current general's wife, and she was always neglected here. She was intimidated and had no talent, so even her father did not adore her. The only hope that Su Qiao had was the arranged marriage to the prime minister's son. They planned to get married when Su Qiao turned 16. However, on the wedding day, Su Qiao's fiancé annulled the engagement and chose her sister Su Moer as his wife in front of everyone. Su Qiao was too upset and went crazy. She was then locked inside the room and got crazier. Besides Su Qiao's identity, Yu Qingtang acquired some other information about the world here. Though the spirit energy here was very intense, people here had no spirit root and did not know how to cultivate spirit energy. What they called martial art was just some basic skills to Yu Qingtang. This is really a huge waste. She could not believe that they left such intense spirit energy untouched here. 1354 Su Qiao 2, your first mission is to become the ruler of the general's residence. Everyone should pay respect to you. The god of nature released the first mission after Yu Qingtang absorbed all the information. Yu Qingtang felt speechless as she stared at the god of nature. Was he joking? So, I'm Su Qiao now. Yu Qingtang's lips twitched slightly. The god of nature nodded. After you enter a world in the constellation, you might replace a person here or become an outsider. Everything is decided by nature. Yu Qingtang looked at the god of nature and did not say anything. What nature? Everything was based on his opinion. Based on her understanding of the world, this should be a kind place with intense spirit energy for her cultivation. The god of nature must find it too easy for her here and therefore created some trouble for her. Yu Qingtang felt more relieved as she would get nebula points after completing the mission, and the points could be exchanged for treasures. As long as everyone here pays respect to me and I'll be the in charge here. Yu Qingtang raised a brow and took a glimpse at the god of nature. The god of nature nodded. A smile appeared by Yi Qingtang's lips. She carried the little white tiger and walked towards the door. She raised her leg and kicked the door. The locked door was kicked open with a loud bang. The few servants who were chatting outside were knocked down by the force as well. Su Qiao. The servants were shocked as they looked at Yi Qingtang, who walked out of the door. In their eyes, Yi Qingtang was Su Qiao now. How dare you call my name? Yi Qingtang smiled. She raised her hands suddenly and slapped the servant who spoke with an invisible force. The servant did not realize what had happened and was slapped by someone on the face. His entire body was thrown out by the force. The rest of the servants were shocked by what they just witnessed. They did not see anyone or anything near the guy, and he just flew out by himself. She's crazy. The eldest young lady is crazy again. Master. They stared at Yi Qingtang, whose eyes appeared to be different today, and their bodies were full of cold sweat. They ran away immediately and thought that their eldest young lady went crazy again. Yi Qingtang did not stop them and let those servants run away in panic. She glanced at the servant who fainted on the ground and did not feel any guilt. All of them were loyal to the general's wife. Su Qiao was not respected in the family, and these servants disrespected her after taking the order from the general's wife. Though Yi Qingtang was only here to complete her mission, she wanted to help the owner fight back. The god of nature drifted behind Yi Qingtang. He felt slightly interested as he witnessed how simple and violent Yi Qingtang's actions were. Let's go. We shall see what's fun in this world. Yi Qingtang carried the little white tiger again and walked towards the yard of the general's residence. General Qiao was in the front hall. A gorgeous and elegant lady sat beside him as he frowned. Dear husband. Su Qiao is getting crazier now. She threw away all the food we sent to her. Others will treat the entire general's residence as a joke if we continue to allow such behaviors from her. The lady frowned slightly and said. Her voice was mixed with hatred. The lady was the general's wife and Su Qiao's stepmother. She was trying to convince General Qiao to send Su Qiao away. General Qiao frowned, and his expression darkened. The general's wife observed the concern that General Qiao had and took a glance at the girl standing behind her. The girl was called Su Liner. She was born by the general's wife and was the third young lady in the general's residence. Father, I think mother is right. My elder sister is getting crazier, and it has become a topic for discussion in the city. The young lady from the Ho family asked about that when I was out yesterday. Su Liner was on the same line as her mother and wanted to chase Su Qiao out of the general's residence. Su Qiao is my daughter. Though she is crazy now, if I chase her to another residence, others may badmouth behind my back. It's not appropriate. General Qiao shook his head. He did not care about Su Qiao's life at all. He only bothered whether others would say something about him if he chased his daughter out, as it might affect his future. We are just sending Su Qiao to another place for her to recover, not chasing her out. It's suitable for her there as it's quiet. I know you care for Su Qiao, but think about Liner and Moer. Moer just entered the Prime Minister's residence, and Liner is at the age for marriage soon. Su Qiao's craziness might affect Moer and Liner's future if we continue to keep her here. They are your daughters as well. You need to consider their reputation. The general's wife expressed her concerns. She was not guilty at all, as if she did not know what resulted in Su Qiao's craziness. Her daughter Su Moer took away Su Qiao's fiancé and humiliated Su Qiao in front of everyone. This. General Qiao frowned. He raised his head and saw Su Liner's wronged expression and made his mind. Tomorrow, ask someone to take Su Qiao to the other residence then. Both the general's wife and Su Liner were delighted. Su Qiao was crazy now. If she were sent to the remote residence, no one would know anything even if she died there. I shall prepare for that, the general's wife said slowly. General Qiao nodded. The moment the general's wife stood up, a few servants looked flustered and rushed in. Master! Lady, the eldest young lady is crazy again. You should go and take a look. She's crazy again. General Qiao's expression darkened. He felt slightly guilty deciding to send Su Qiao away, but now, it could no longer be avoided. His reputation would be ruined if she continued to be crazy. Master, Su Qiao cannot be here anymore. I think she should be sent away as soon as possible. How about today? The general's wife said. Prepare the carriage to send our eldest young lady to the other residence now. General Qiao did not bother to say anything else. However, a figure walked in slowly from the entrance of the front hall. General Qiao and the rest looked towards the figure and realized that she was the crazy Su Qiao, and she walked into the front hall. Who allowed you to come here? If others see you, my reputation will be ruined. Get back right now. General Qiao frowned and commended. He did not want anyone to see his crazy daughter. Someone restrain Su Qiao right now. She may hurt others when she gets crazy. The general's wife gave orders to the servants as she looked at Yi Qingtang in disgust. A few strong servants immediately walked out and wanted to restrain Yi Qingtang with rope. However, before they could get near her, an invisible wave of air came out from Yi Qingtang's feet. Everyone was thrown out by the wave of air and landed heavily on the ground. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 1356. So week 1. The world here was totally different from the one Yi Qingtang was in previously. Though it was full of spirit energy, people here did not know how to make use of it besides knowing how to perform some basic fighting moves. Yi Qingtang changed her identity, but her capability and strength remained the same. She was not sure how much difference there was between her and the people in this world. It was lucky that she could test it out in the general's residence today. However, Yi Qingtang really felt that they were as weak as the ants when she stared at the servants lying on the ground. The cultivators in this world are all so weak. They could not even compare with the most inferior Khanate level 5 people in her world. Everyone else in the hall froze as they saw the servants falling onto the ground. They could not understand how these people fell onto the ground as no one seemed to have done anything. Of course, they would not know that it was the result of Yi Qingtang's power. Get up, pieces of craps! General Qiao shouted impatiently. He was always obsessed with martial arts and was very experienced in that. The reason why he disliked Su Qiao was that she had no talent to learn martial arts at all. His abilities must be one of the best in the world, if not, he could not be the general here. However, he could not figure out how these people fell and just thought they were trying to be lazy. All lazy bastards. Can't you even restrain a mad girl? The general's wife did not expect that the useless Su Qiao did this, and she shouted in rage. However, those servants groaned on the floor and could not get up no matter how the general and his wife tried to command them. General Qiao frowned when he saw the servants rolling on the ground. His eyes were filled with impatience. He walked forward directly and was going to restrain his crazy daughter in order to send her to another residence. Yi Qingtang was slightly curious when General Qiao walked towards her. Based on the clues she knew about this world, General Qiao should be one of the most powerful people in this world. There should be no one who was more powerful than him here. Yi Qingtang was waiting to see how much difference there was between her ability and the general's. General Qiao lifted his hand and was about to grab Yi Qingtang's shoulder. Based on his ability, it should be as easy as lifting up a chicken to grab Su Qiao. The moment General Qiao stretched his hand out, Yi Qingtang did not move but released one trace of her force within her body. Boom! A loud sound was heard in the hall. General Qiao, whose face was filled with unpleasantness, was thrown out by the force. His giant body landed heavily on the ground. Yi Qingtang stared at General Qiao with perplexed feelings. He was thrown out by that little amount of force from her. Powerful figure of the world. The most powerful general. How could he be so weak? As Yi Qingtang was amazed at how weak the most powerful person in this world, it was chaos in the hall. Master! Master! What happened to you? The general's wife witnessed how General Qiao flew out and rushed forward nervously, trying to get him up. General Qiao felt that he was just trodden by numerous horses. The pain was unbearable, and his head buzzed. Chapter 1357. So weak too, General Qiao did not know what was going on. A huge force had suddenly sent him flying. The impact of the force was greater than anything he had encountered before. Su Liner and the general's wife immediately turned their attention to General Qiao and did not notice anything strange about Yi Qingtang. What's going on? A handsome man suddenly entered from another room. When he saw the chaos in the main hall, he could not help but show his curiosity. Then, his gaze fell on Yi Qingtang, who was standing nearby, and he immediately looked disdainful. When the general's wife saw the youth, she immediately said, "Kaier, you're here just in time. Su Qiao has gone crazy again." The youth's name was Dongfang Kai, and he was the nephew of the general's wife. Because the Dongfang family lived near the general's residence, they often dropped by. Dongfang Kai frowned slightly, and his expression grew more contemptuous as he looked at Yi Qingtang. Ever since the general's wife had married and moved to the general's residence, the relationship between the Dongfang family and General Qiao had grown even more intimate. General Qiao was a military officer. Although his surname was Su, he was conferred the title of General Qiao, so his eldest daughter was named Su Qiao to thank His Majesty for his kindness. The Dongfang family, on the other hand, specialized in magic. They often refined health-giving elixirs for the emperor, and the emperor thought highly of them. Dongfang Kai disliked this cousin, who was not a blood relative. Now, when he heard what the general's wife said, he did not waste words but walked over to Yi Qingtang. He wanted to reach out and grab this helpless and crazy cousin to drag her away. But the moment Dongfang Kai reached out his hand, Yi Qingtang raised her foot and kicked him such that he fell to the ground. Dongfang Kai was fairly skilled. When the general's wife had married and moved into the general's residence, he had also trained with General Qiao from a young age and was skilled in martial arts. Among his peers, his skills were considered exceptional. However, Su Qiao was a good-for-nothing who could not even practice martial arts. Naturally, Dongfang Kai was not on his guard. This kick broke several of Dongfang Kai's ribs. He fell heavily to the ground with a grunt, blood seeping from his mouth. Yi Qingtang was speechless when she saw Dongfang Kai lying on the ground, vomiting blood. She had not even used much force, but he was vomiting blood. Surely it was obvious that he was asking for it. Kaier. The general's wife was startled. She not had expected Yi Qingtang to fight back. Even General Qiao was shocked by the events unfolding before his eyes, not to mention his wife. What is going on? How has Qiao suddenly learned to fight so viciously? General Qiao had been obsessed with martial arts all his life and had some experience. Yi Qingtang's casual kick had shocked General Qiao. Such force and speed could not be achieved without 30 to 50 years of cultivation. But the general's wife, who did not know much about martial arts, was not aware of this. Her face grew grim when she saw that this crazy Yi Qingtang had hit her nephew. Su Qiao, how dare you hit someone? The general's wife had also been disdainful of Su Qiao. Now, she walked over to Yi Qingtang furiously and raised her hand to slap Yi Qingtang in the face. But before the general's wife could slap Yi Qingtang, the latter had given her a resounding smack instead. The general's wife instantly spun like a top. The force of the blow caused her to spin several rounds before she stumbled and fell onto the ground. Chapter 1358. So weak 3. An imprint of 5 fingers flamed on her cheeks, looking startlingly red. Her lips had cracked from the blow. You! The general's wife stared incredulously at Yi Qingtang, who had dared to hit her. Dongfang Kai, who was nearby, saw that something was amiss. He ignored the pain from his injuries and hurriedly fled the general's residence. How dare you hit me? Who do you think you are? I'm your mother. The general's wife had never been so offended, and her expression was extremely ugly. You're not fit. Yi Qingtang swept a cold glance at the general's wife. She knew from Su Qiao's memories that the general's wife had never treated Su Qiao as her own daughter but continually abused her. Even the servants had better treatment. Su Qiao's abilities were mediocre, but not so poor that she could not learn a few punches and kicks by training with General Qiao. However, when Su Qiao was young, the general's wife had seized the opportunity to spike her food with a slow-acting poison. Hence, Su Qiao's body was not able to withstand any kind of martial arts training. In the incident in which Su Moer had snatched Su Qiao's fiancée, it was also the general's wife who had come between the original couple. Now, they had driven Su Qiao crazy, but the general's wife still would not let her off. Instead, she wanted to send Su Qiao to another residence and kill her. Yi Qingtang had no qualms about beating people like that. Furthermore, she had not used any force at all. She had just casually waved her hand. How was she to know that the general's wife was so fragile she would be sent spinning? Master, look at this fine daughter of yours. She treats me like that. The general's wife held her face, looking aggrieved. But because of the slap, she did not dare to advance again, only complaining to General Qiao. She was perplexed. Hadn't she destroyed Su Qiao's body long ago? How was it that the force of this slap had caused her skull to vibrate with pain? General Qiao had not yet recovered his wits. His attention was fixed on Yi Qingtang's kick. Even General Qiao could not attain the force and speed of this kick. What's going on? When the general's wife saw that the general was stunned, she was deeply unhappy. But before she could speak again, a dozen figures appeared at the doorway to the general's residence. One of them was Dongfang Kai, who had sneaked away just now. He was accompanied by many of the elites from the Dongfang family. Even the master of the Dongfang family, the brother of the general's wife, Dongfang Qing, had hurried over. The Dongfang house was not far from the general's residence. Although Dongfang Kai was injured, he had managed to hurry back quickly. The general's wife had long wanted to get rid of Su Qiao, whom she viewed as a nuisance. Now that Su Qiao dared to hit someone, Dongfang Kai naturally would not pass up this chance. He had gone home to summon the others and was prepared to pressurize General Qiao into getting rid of his crazy daughter. Brother Dongfang. General Qiao had not expected the Dongfang family to arrive. But he was in no position to be bothered about anything else, so he spoke civilly. Dongfang Qing nodded slightly. His rather sinister eyes swept over Yi Qingtang, who was standing in the middle of the main hall. Then, he looked at General Qiao and said, General, or perhaps I should address you as brother-in-law. My younger sister has been married to you for many years and has treated everyone in your residence well. She has doted on your daughter, Su Qiao. Now, Su Qiao is not only crazy, but she has dared to hit her mother, who is her elder. You must give me an explanation today. 1359 You are deliberately provoking me. One General Qiao froze for a moment, but before he could reply, his wife threw herself at Dongfang Qing as if she suffered some terrible grievance. Elder brother, if I had listened to you and gotten rid of that crazy girl earlier, this would not have happened. See. She actually dared to treat me like this. There is no place for Liner and me in the general's residence. The general's wife pushed the fiery red finger imprints on her face in front of Dongfang Qing, as if afraid he could not see them. Dongfang Qing's expression grew grim as he looked coldly at General Qiao. If Brother Su cannot bear to take a lunatic like this in hand, then I better take over. General Qiao's expression stiffened. Although Dongfang Qing did not have an official position in court, his skills in refining elixirs were greatly valued by the emperor. Even General Qiao had to be civil to him. However, General Qiao looked at Yi Qingtang again, and his expression became conflicted. However, before General Qiao could speak, Dongfang Qing rushed at Yi Qingtang with the group from the Dongfang family that had come with him. In his eyes, Su Qiao was only a helpless girl and a lunatic. They could capture her easily. And since Su Qiao would certainly struggle in the process, if they pretended to accidentally kill her while capturing her, it would be too late for General Qiao to protect her even if he wished to do so. Wait a minute, General Qiao suddenly spoke. He seemed about to stop them, but his wife collapsed in his arms, pretending to be frail. She clung to him such that he was unable to free himself. Yi Qingtang looked expressionlessly at the group from the Dongfang family who had surrounded her. Her gaze suddenly passed over the god of nature, who was following behind her. At that moment, the god of nature looked delighted. However, Yi Qingtang realized that others could not see the god of nature. As long as everyone in the general's residence submits to me, my mission is complete, Yi Qingtang suddenly spoke to the god of nature. That's right, the god of nature was prepared to watch a good show. Yi Qingtang's lips suddenly curved in amusement as she looked at the group from the Dongfang family with their evil intentions. Be it General Qiao or Dongfang Kai, their abilities were so poor that Yi Qingtang was not even interested in exerting herself. But when she saw so many people rush at her, she thought she might as well test whether the people in these worlds were really so incredibly weak. The group from the Dongfang family had not heard the conversation between Yi Qingtang and the god of nature. They simply followed Dongfang Qing's instructions and rushed forward to capture her. But when they had advanced and just rolled up their sleeves to catch and kill this lunatic, a cold light suddenly flashed across Yi Qingtang's eyes. A blast of air suddenly rose from Yi Qingtang's feet, and her figure vanished instantly. Before Dongfang Qing could see Yi Qingtang, he suddenly felt a huge force attacking him from behind. He was instantly sent flying. No one present knew what was going on. They only saw a flash of light that looked like lightning, rushing around them. The light passed in an instant, leaving chaos in its wake. The men from the Dongfang family did not know what was going on. They were sent flying in all directions by this invisible force. Chapter 1360. You are deliberately provoking me too for a moment. Pandemonium reigned in the courtyard of the general's residence. General Qiao, who had been about to stop them, stood rooted to the spot in disbelief. His expression was one of incredulity. What's going on? The general's wife, who was all prepared to watch a good show, was also shocked. She looked on as her elder brother and the others from her family flew here and there in the courtyard as if possessed. They looked as if they had seen a ghost. General Qiao was one of the most skilled people in the entire kingdom. Even so, he did not even have the ability to clearly see Yi Qingtang's movements. Within the span of a few breaths, the entire courtyard of the general's residence was in disarray. Dongfang Qing was one of the first to be hit. He lay motionless on the ground. He had stopped breathing. Only Yi Qingtang stood casually amidst the group. Her expression was rather strange. She had thought that General Qiao was pretty weak but had not expected that. These people from the Dongfang family were even weaker than General Qiao. Was there even one person in this world who could fight? Yi Qingtang was speechless. She did not know that this group of people who had collapsed on the ground were considered elite fighters in this world. Dongfang Qing, in particular, was almost on par with General Qiao. Outside of the capital, he could become a chief anywhere else. But this chief was now lying motionless on the ground. He was not even breathing. Elder brother. Elder brother, when the general's wife saw the chaos, she could not maintain her act any longer. She wept as she ran to Dongfang Qing's side. She turned ashen as she looked at Dongfang Qing, who was bleeding copiously from the eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Dongfang Qing had died just like that. You lunatic, you killed my elder brother. The general's wife glared at Yi Qingtang. Her expression was a mixture of fear and hate. Yi Qingtang stared blankly at her. Dead? Surely he cannot be that weak. She had just moved her hands and legs a little and had not even used any force. And he had died? Why the hell is he so weak? They really were not deliberately provoking her. For some reason, Yi Qingtang had a strange feeling that the disparity in ability between her and the people of this world was even greater than that between her and the heavenly venerate-level animals in the 9-star constellation. She had just moved her fingers slightly, and they had all died. General Qiao was completely shocked. He thought that his daughter was a good-for-nothing who could not learn martial arts. Then, she had turned into a lunatic and was probably ruined for life. Unexpectedly, Yi Qingtang's casual act today had smashed General Qiao's worldview. How terrifying was her power! Even his master probably could not defeat dozens of people from the Dongfang family in such a short span of time. Apart from Dongfang Qing, a dozen men from the Dongfang family had come along. Now, 7 or 8 of them were dead, and the survivors were all injured. Up to now, they could not figure out what kind of sinister power Yi Qingtang had used to strike them all down. When the rest saw that their family master was dead, a chill crept down their spines. They were so frightened that they shivered. Because Dongfang Kai was injured, he had not advanced. He thought that his father and the general's wife could take care of this lunatic, but who knew? In the end, all he had was Dongfang Qing's body that was slowly turning cold. Su Qiao. You dared to kill my father. Dongfang Kai shook as he stared at Yi Qingtang. Even if one beat him to death, he would never have believed that Yi Qingtang could kill his father so easily. One should know that, in Dongfang Kai's heart, his father was one of the best in the entire kingdom in terms of skill. In the capital, no one could defeat his father besides General Qiao and a few of His Majesty's guards. He was too weak, Yi Qingtang said casually, but truthfully. She had not intended to kill anyone. However, these people's abilities were so poor that she could not bear looking at them. How was she to know that she could kill someone just by raising her hand? Yi Qingtang had recently attained the arcane supremacy first heaven. In the vast expanse of the central mainland, her abilities were simply the foundation of any other cultivator's abilities. But in this world where there was no such thing as cultivation, it was an entirely different story. It was like a person in armor standing in an ant's nest. He could cause widespread destruction by just moving his hands. Although Yi Qingtang was speaking the truth, the words sounded incredibly shameful and mocking to Dongfang Kai. Although Dongfang Kai's heart was filled with hatred, he was not stupid. He did not dare to contest Yi Qingtang. He could only slink away. Yi Qingtang did not intend to stop him. She was still familiarizing herself with everything in this world, including martial skills that were so weak they were almost negligible. Also, she wanted to complete the mission that the god of nature had given her as soon as possible and obtain nebula points. Although the people here were indescribably weak, the area was rich in spirit energy. Yi Qingtang only needed to complete her mission, and then she could cultivate here while also obtaining nebula points to exchange for a treasure in the Star Pavilion. One must know that of the 2 items she had seen, her abilities would be greatly enhanced by either one. The general's wife was in shock. She embraced Dongfang Qing's body and wept. Su Liner was terrified. She looked dazed when she saw the ground full of blood. General Qiao's expression was very complicated. When he looked at Yi Qingtang, he looked both surprised and delighted. He had thought that his daughter was completely ruined, but who knew, she actually possessed such terrifying power. How could a martial arts enthusiast like him not be excited? Qiao, you go back. I will take care of everything here. General Qiao stepped forward. His expression was strange, but he continued to maintain his protective attitude towards Yi Qingtang. His Majesty greatly values Dongfang Qing. Now that you have killed him, the Dongfang family won't let you off so easily. Although General Qiao was delighted in the sudden growth of his daughter's abilities, he was also worried about Dongfang Qing's death. In recent years, the emperor had become more and more persistent in his quest to achieve immortality. Dongfang Qing specialized in refining elixirs, and the emperor had appointed him to refine elixirs for immortality. Now, Dongfang Qing was dead just like that. This matter would not be resolved so easily. Yi Qingtang had not intended to kill anyone. She had only wanted to seize the opportunity to complete her mission. But she did not panic. Instead, she used the time to return to her room to try cultivating in this world. The abundant spirit energy greatly sped up her cultivation. Yi Qingtang had previously obtained black heaven water from the hell of Avicenaraka but had not found a suitable opportunity to use it. Now, she took it out. Spirit roots were not of much use to someone in the arcane supremacy realm. Yi Qingtang gulped down the water and clearly felt the spirit root in her body grow warm. As the warmth spread, the speed at which she could absorb spirit energy also doubled. Please go to read the latest chapters for free. Chapter 1362 Mission completed. 1 Within half a day, Yi Qingtang leveled up by another heaven. Now, she was at the second heaven of the arcane supremacy. Though the speed of cultivation here was no way near that in the 9-star constellation, at least it was safe here. After all, Yi Qingtang might not even have time to run away in the world of the 9-star constellation. She did not even imagine trying to cultivate there peacefully. As Yi Qingtang leveled up, a red light dispersed from her body, filled the whole house, and dashed into the sky. As General Qiao was worried about how he should handle Dongfang Qing's death, he suddenly noticed that all the servants had gathered outside Yi Qingtang's room and kowtowed towards the house in fear and respect. General Qiao was confused, but when he saw the red light surrounding the room, he was totally shocked. Red light from the sky. He only heard about such a phenomenon from legends. According to the legends, that would only occur when an immortal came to the earth. An immortal came to the earth. General Qiao suddenly recalled how his daughter suddenly gained great power and abilities, and he felt dazed. Was it possible that an immortal assisted his daughter? The red light was getting brighter, and the citizens who were around the general's residence also noticed it. They were all amazed and thought that an immortal appeared. Within a short period of time, many citizens brought tributes and kneeled outside the general's residence. Yi Qingtang did not know anything that happened outside as she restored her aura from leveling up. In Yi Qingtang's original world, everyone was used to phenomenons that occurred from spirit energy when someone leveled up. People might just pay attention to that, but no one would treat it as the appearance of an immortal. If Yi Qingtang knew how people in this world came out with such a ridiculous belief from her leveling up, she might just vomit blood. The red light disappeared after a while. People outside kowtowed for a while more and dispersed in respect. The appearance of an immortal was spread among the city. General Qiao was curious and excited at the same time. However, before he could ask Yi Qingtang about that, some trouble came. The emperor was enraged by Dongfang Qing's death, as General Qiao had expected. The Dongfang family just reported how Yi Qingtang killed Dongfang Qing to the emperor. Even the general's wife's eldest daughter Su Moer, who forcefully took Su Qiao's fiancé, also joined her father-in-law to report the case to the court. The emperor waited for an immortal elixir from Dongfang Qing all the time so that he could be immortal. However, the only person who could refine the elixirs for him was now dead. The emperor asked his people to bring the culprit Yi Qingtang to the palace immediately out of rage. General Qiao was shocked when he knew about that, but he really wanted to protect Yi Qingtang. Qiao, I'll bring you to apologize to the emperor. Trust me, you will be safe even if I have to abandon my position. After witnessing Yi Qingtang's power and the red light phenomenon, General Qiao was determined that he must protect his extraordinary daughter. Yi Qingtang's expression was odd after hearing General Qiao's swear. After Yi Qingtang leveled up, the god of nature told her that she had completed her mission. Chapter 1363 Mission completed. 2 Yi Qingtang was quite delighted that she could use the nebula points to exchange for treasures. However, the god of nature gave her an unexpected number. 1 point. Yi Qingtang was slightly stunned when she saw the number of points, but she thought that it only required a few points to exchange for rewards in the Star Pavilion. That might be the reason why the reward was so little. However, when she saw the price of 100,000 under the Soul Formation Elixir, Yi Qingtang really wanted to kill the god of nature if she could fight him. The god of nature even shamelessly announced the second mission. The second mission was to acquire respect from everyone in this country. Yi Qingtang wanted to kill herself when she heard the mission. How come the missions came one after another? Yi Qingtang used her power to suppress everyone in order to take over the control in the general's residence. However, to let everyone in the country pay respect to her, the god of nature must be fooling her around. Xiao, don't worry. I will be here with you the whole time. General Qiao thought that Yi Qingtang was scared as he did not get any response from her. Yi Qingtang cleared her mind and thought about General Qiao's words. Before he started another round of persuasion, Yi Qingtang nodded. Since she had to stay in this world for a while, she wanted to figure out how powerful the people here were. The powerful figures beside the emperor should be better than General Qiao at least. Yi Qingtang wanted to give it a try. Furthermore, the second mission given by the god of nature was also related to the country. If the world here did not contain enough spirit energy for Yi Qingtang to cultivate, she would definitely say farewell to him based on the pathetic number of points. General Qiao did not know what Yi Qingtang was thinking about. He led Yi Qingtang to apologize to the emperor. Yi Qingtang left the little white tiger inside the room and did not bother with the god of nature, who followed her behind. No one could see him anyway. The country where Yi Qingtang was located at in this world was called the Yuan Kingdom. It was supposedly the most powerful kingdom. There was a legend in the Yuan Kingdom saying that the first emperor of the kingdom had witnessed an immortal beside an abyss. He then built the kingdom and believed strongly that he must receive luck from the immortal in order for him to rule the country. Everyone in the country worshipped immortals based on that legend. Every emperor also longed for immortal elixirs in order to live beyond 100 years old and become immortal. There was another legend saying that one of the emperors ate a half-completed elixir and lived 111 years. He was the most long-lived man in the world. The current emperor felt an urgent need to get the immortal elixir based on his ancestors' experience. When General Qiao brought Yi Qingtang to the royal palace, Yi Qingtang saw the obese emperor, who was in luxurious clothes, sitting in a tiny throne in rage. A few higher-ups, as well as Su Moer and her husband, were waiting in the palace for quite a while. They were very hostile when they saw Yi Qingtang walking into the palace. "Your Majesty, I have brought my disloyal daughter Su Qiao here." General Qiao took a step forward and paid respects to the emperor. Yi Qingtang stood straight in the palace and did not intend to pay respect to the obese emperor at all. The emperor's face was filled with a murderous expression, and he did not care about General Qiao's bow at all. Chapter 1364 Mission completed 3. The emperor said coldly, "General Qiao, you have a good daughter here. How dare you to kill Taoist Master Dongfang? Your family is really not afraid of anything." People who were good at refining elixirs were called Taoist masters in this world. Dongfang Qing was the best master in refinement in the Yuan Kingdom. "Your Majesty, Qiao is still young. She was crazy for a period of time due to some events. That's why she made such a huge mistake." General Qiao was very determined to protect her daughter and pleaded for mercy. However, the emperor would not let go of Yi Qingtang so easily. "General Qiao, I should not take it on your whole family since you have contributed greatly to the kingdom. However, Su Qiao will be dead here. You're always loyal to me, so she will be just given a glass of poison." After the emperor finished his words, a servant at the side held the glass of poison that was prepared long ago and walked forward. General Qiao was shocked when he saw the poison. How could he not know about it after being the general for so many years? He was too familiar with its bitter smell. That was a special poisonous wine in the royal family. It was so poisonous that anyone who consumed a drop of it would have his organs to rot and die. There was absolutely no cure to it. Obviously, the emperor did not want to keep Yi Qingtang alive. He did not show any mercy even when General Qiao kneeled and pleaded. Your Majesty, I'm willing to use my everything in exchange for Su Qiao's life. Please, Your Majesty, shut up. The emperor shouted. You should be grateful for your contributions over the years. If not, your entire family will die along with Master Dongfang today. Master Dongfang had been looking for ways to refine immortal elixir for me all the time. Su Qiao did not only kill him, but she also killed my opportunity of being immortal. The emperor gritted his teeth and said. He really wanted to kill the entire general's family, but he had to acknowledge the contributions from General Qiao, and the prime minister's family also pleaded for him. General Qiao's body was filled with cold sweat. He knew that the emperor must be very angry, but he did not expect that he would be so furious. Su Moer was confused as she stared at her nervous father. Why, all of a sudden, would her father protect Su Qiao when he did not care about him all the time? However, Su Moer received an order from the general's wife that Su Qiao must be dead here. This would be revenge for Dongfang Qing. Su Moer took a step forward, held the glass, and walked towards Yi Qingtang. Elder sister, the mistake you made is unforgivable. You must take this in order to save the entire Su family. Yi Qingtang was not familiar with Su Moer, but she knew that this was Su Qiao's sister who took her fiancé away. She did not bother to reply to her, instead, she took a glimpse at the poisonous wine. She could smell its bitterness before even tasting it. Though she did not know what it was called, based on her medical knowledge, the poisonous wine might be equivalent to those inferior narcotic drugs. What kind of poison was this? It contained color and smell. Qiao, you can't. General Qiao was very nervous. He was about to stop Yi Qingtang, but she took over the glass of poisonous wine and drank everything. People's reaction in the palace was all different when they saw Yi Qingtang drink the incurable poisonous wine. Everyone from the Dongfang family was content as they had taken their revenge. Su Moer smiled coldly. Chapter 1365 Gap 1 Your Majesty, Su Qiao is dead now. Please forgive my family. Su Moer was very sure that Yi Qingtang must be dead. She kneeled down towards the emperor and pleaded for mercy for the general using her identity as the prime minister's daughter-in-law. The emperor frowned, but before he could say anything. Is there more? After drinking the glass of poisonous wine, Yi Qingtang shook the empty glass and stared at everyone in the palace calmly. Everyone looked towards Yi Qingtang unbelievably. What did you say? Su Moer could not believe what she just heard. Say, do you have more wine? I'm quite thirsty. Yi Qingtang did not drink any water after stepping into this world. She really felt thirsty, especially after a long period of cultivation. The wine. It was bitter but still could quench her thirst. As for the poison, Yi Qingtang could release the poison just by taking a breath with her second heaven of arcane supremacy ability. It was as if Su Moer had just seen a ghost. That is the most poisonous wine here. Did Su Qiao become a real idiot? How could she ask for another glass? Besides Su Moer, both the Dongfang family and General Qiao were shocked. Your Majesty, I don't feel anything with that one glass of poisonous wine. How about a few more glasses? Maybe you'll die faster with the additional toxicity. Yi Qingtang noticed the reaction from everyone else and said slowly. The emperor's lips twitched slightly as he had never seen anyone being so willing to die. Sure, since you want to die faster, I'll give you what you want. The emperor asked someone to pass the whole bottle of poisonous wine to Yi Qingtang. People from the Dongfang family pulled themselves out of surprise. Yi Qingtang would die from rotten organs soon after she took the poisonous wine. They could just watch her suffer slowly until death. The servant who was holding the bottle wanted to help Yi Qingtang pour another glass, but she took over the entire bottle and finished everything inside in front of everyone. It was the first time they saw someone that could drink poisonous wine so generously. Yi Qingtang's thirst was quenched, and the little trace of toxicity disappeared as she breathed out slowly. The poisonous wine might not even be able to kill a Khanate level 1 cultivator. Anyone who knew how to cultivate using spirit energy had some defense against poison. Unless the toxicity of the toxin was above the person's level, the poison would not have any effect. However, no one there knew about that. They were all waiting for Yi Qingtang to die when her organs were punctured by the poison. However, after a long while, Yi Qingtang was still standing there. Her face was radiant, and she looked like she was full of energy. Did someone swap the poisonous wine? Xiaoer. Do you feel anything wrong? General Qiao, who was depressed, suddenly saw that the poisonous wine did not seem to have any effect on his daughter. What do I need to feel? Yi Qingtang said. General Qiao's lips twitched. He suddenly remembered the bright light appeared on top of Yi Qingtang's room earlier on and was stunned. He wanted to say something, but the emperor cut in. Long Qi. Chapter 1366 Gap 2 The emperor's expression was very unpleasant. He could not understand why the entire bottle of poisonous wine could not kill Yi Qingtang. However, he was still determined to kill her. After the emperor finished his words, a giant man who was wearing gold armor jumped out and landed in front of Yi Qingtang. Long Qi was the most powerful person in the Yuan kingdom. He was the one that the emperor relied the most on. Yi Qingtang narrowed her eyes, and she was more cautious now. According to the rumors, Long Qi was very powerful, and he had reached the top in the world. Part of the reason why Yi Qingtang came to the palace was to meet Long Qi and judge the ability of people in this world. Though Yi Qingtang was able to beat everyone before, she was still very cautious in front of Long Qi. She held a talisman in her hand secretly. She acquired the talisman from the Hell of Avicenaraka before. It could transmit her away for a short distance, about a few hundred meters away. However, it could save her life when her life was under threat. Yi Qingtang was fully prepared. If Long Qi was too powerful, she would crush the talisman and run away. She did not care about the mission as she only wanted to find a place to cultivate. After Yi Qingtang set her plan, Long Qi suddenly began his attack. He pulled the sword out by his waist, and the sound echoed in the entire palace. People from the Dongfang family were delighted when they saw Long Qi pull out the sword. They were expecting to see something exciting when they saw how fierce he was. Yi Qingtang stared at the sharp sword in Long Qi's hand, but she did not notice any sword breath on it. If she did not pay attention to that, based on the Dongfang family's and Su Moer's shocking reaction, she would really believe that Long Qi's sword could end her life here right away. Long Qi was expressionless. Yi Qingtang was just a normal girl in his eyes. He could just kill her with one slash. Long Qi slashed the sword down towards Yi Qingtang's head. Everyone held their breath as they heard the sound when the sword slashed through the air. He was really the most powerful person of the Yuan kingdom from his imposing demeanor. Yi Qingtang must be dead now. Clang! A crisp sound echoed in the huge palace. Long Qi slashed his sword down, and it landed on Yi Qingtang's head. However, the moment it touched her head, the entire sword broke into half from the center. Clank clank clank. The broken sword dropped onto the ground. Long Qi's majestic expression changed as he held the broken sword. Yi Qingtang was not hurt at all. His broken sword did not even touch Yi Qingtang's hair. Yi Qingtang looked at how stunned Long Qi was and took a glimpse at the talisman in her hand. So, that was the ability of the most powerful person in the Yuan kingdom? Yi Qingtang felt she was stupid for the first time ever. She was so cautious when dealing with an ant's attack. She even took out her talisman. She kept away the talisman and used 2 fingers to hold on to the broken sword and moved it away with little force. Yu Qingtang really did not use much force, but Long Qi could not resist her movements even though he had used all his force. Chapter 1367 Gap 3 Everyone took a deep breath when they saw that Long Qi could not resist the force from Yu Qingtang's fingers. His face was totally red, and his nerves could be seen clearly on his neck. The emperor's expression darkened. General Qiao was surprised and delighted. He knew exactly how terrifying Long Qi's ability was. Unexpectedly, he was like a child who could not even resist the force in front of his daughter. Long Qi's face was pale red. He abandoned the sword when he knew that he could not resist Yu Qingtang's force. Instead, he swung his fist at Yu Qingtang's face. Yu Qingtang snapped her finger lightly. Long Qi was sent flying and hit the wall of the palace. The wall collapsed under the force. "Someone come here right now," the emperor shouted as his face turned pale. He had just witnessed how the most powerful person under him was thrown out by Yu Qingtang's finger. Yu Qingtang was really annoyed by the emperor's roar, and she finally realized that the difference between her and the powerful figures in this world was as big as the universe. She kicked the broken sword that Long Qi dropped, and the sword pierced into the wall behind the emperor. The emperor's teeth trembled as he saw the broken sword flying past his face. How dare you to try to murder me?" Everyone who was present was stunned as they did not expect Yu Qingtang to attack the emperor. General Qiao was determined to protect his daughter, but he was terrified when he saw that his daughter was acting out of manner. "Qiao, no," Yu Qingtang did not bother about others' reactions. She only remembered the second mission given by that cunning god. The emperor's face was filled with terror. Yu Qingtang contemplated for a second and said, "What's the matter with Dongfang Qing's death? If you want the immortal elixir, I can refine one for you." "You? What do you use to refine? Are you a Taoist master? You think that when you say you can, it really means you can achieve that?" Even Master Dongfang did not manage to refine the immortal elixir. "How dare you say such things?" The emperor was agitated and scared at the same time. Yu Qingtang raised her eyebrows. "Dongfang Qing is just a piece of junk." "What master? Everything he could refine, I can do that as well. Anything he can't, I can." Those are really some big words. Do you think that you are an immortal? How dare you disrespect the master? The emperor stared at Yu Qingtang and felt that the eldest daughter of the Su family was getting crazier. "Immortal?" Yu Qingtang's lips curved into a small smile. "I am one." After Yu Qingtang finished her words, the emperor could mock and scold her at the same time if it was at the right time. "What evidence do you have to prove that you are an immortal?" "She is an immortal." How ridiculous. Besides the first emperor, who else dared to say that they had met an immortal in the past thousands of years? She dared to call herself an immortal. Evidence? Yu Qingtang glanced around, and her smile deepened. "Have you seen someone flying in the air?" Flying in the air? The emperor frowned slightly. Before the emperor finished his words, Yu Qingtang pushed herself above the ground. A pair of invisible wings extend behind her back. However, besides Yu Qingtang, no one else could see them. Chapter 1368 An Immortal. One in everyone's eyes, Yu Qingtang actually flew into the sky with nothing under her feet. Her slender body was as light as a feather as she moved in the air relaxedly. Although Yu Qingtang put on a dignified pose, she was quietly observing everyone's reaction. In just a moment, everyone's jaw dropped when they saw Yu Qingtang flying in the sky. "I am immortal." The emperor's eyes widened immediately. Given the martial level in this world, leaping onto the roofs and walking on walls were the maximum. Moreover, only supreme masters like Long Qi could achieve that state, and even ordinary mighty figures like General Qiao could only walk faster than normal people at most. Much less flying. Flying in midair. That was something that only rumored immortals could achieve. At this instant, everyone in the palace watched with mouths agape. It was as though they saw a ghost. Initially, Yi Qingtang was not certain if anyone could fly in this world, but she felt that their martial skills were unbearable, thus, she predicted that they could not and wanted to give it a try. Now, it seemed that the people here really did not know how to fly in the air. An evil smile flashed across Yi Qingtang's eyes immediately. She suddenly raised her hand, and a streak of light flowed out of her fingertip. Taking a sharp sword out from her space ring, she slashed outside the palace forcefully. A loud rumble erupted. Under the extensive sword aura, the entire imperial city was divided into two. Everyone in the palace wobbled. The emperor, who was still thinking of killing Yi Qingtang earlier, even fell off his throne and collapsed at Yi Qingtang's feet. "Greetings, immortal. I was blind and offended you. Please forgive me." The emperor initially thought that Yi Qingtang was making careless remarks, but after witnessing Yi Qingtang's immortal skills, he only had immense admiration for her. Yi Qingtang clearly did not have anything in her hands a while ago, but she made a sword appear out of nowhere. Furthermore, that slash actually had the power to split a mountain. How could an ordinary person do this? This time, the emperor believed Yi Qingtang completely. Since she could fly in the air, make something appear out of nothing, and even had the strength to topple the mountains, what else could she be if not an immortal? The emperor had always respected the legendary immortals, or else, he would not be bent on seeking an immortality pill. Now that he saw a living immortal before him, how could he not be agitated? What bullshit, Dongfang Qing. That man was not even worthy of carrying shoes in front of the immortal. The Dongfang family, who were initially ablaze with anger, even turned pale from horror. They could not doubt Yi Qingtang's identity as an immortal because of everything that they saw. At the thought that they actually wanted to kill such an immortal, they broke out in a cold sweat. For a moment, everyone was filled with profound respect, yet they also trembled in fear. Even General Qiao kneeled on the ground with reverence to experience the grace of an immortal. Yi Qingtang was rather amused as she looked at the royal family on the ground. They had not seen people flying in the sky, nor did they have space rings, thus, things like sword aura were even more unbelievable. If Yi Qingtang showed those few tricks in the central mainland, no one would even bat an eyelid. But the people in this world. What could be said about them? The people in this world were really gullible. Rise. Yi Qingtang reorganized her feelings and put on a dignified pose. Chapter 1369 An Immortal. 2. Everyone stood up unsteadily. Whether it be the Dongfang family or the emperor, everyone looked at Yi Qingtang with reverence. They never thought that they would actually personally see an immortal on earth in their lifetime. "Immortal, I offended you greatly earlier on. Please forgive me," the emperor said hurriedly in fear that his actions made the immortal displeased. "It's fine," Yi Qingtang waved a hand. She started having thoughts as she looked at the respectful expressions of everyone in the palace. She still had to accomplish the second mission that the god of nature assigned her, and it would probably be very difficult to complete it alone in a short span of time. The emperor did not know what Yi Qingtang was thinking about and merely looked at her silently and cautiously. Hesitating, he said, "Immortal, the immortality pill that you previously mentioned about." Previously, when Yi Qingtang mentioned the immortality pill, the emperor naturally did not believe her. But now, it was completely different. Wasn't it an easy feat for this immortal to refine an immortality pill? Yi Qingtang was still worried about finding an excuse to ask the emperor for help in accomplishing the second mission. When she heard the emperor saying that, a smile emerged in her eyes, and she put on a calm front. "I will not go back on my words since I have promised you." Yi Qingtang subsequently retrieved a pill from her space ring. The emperor obviously did not know about the space ring and was overjoyed when he saw that Yi Qingtang made a pill appear out of thin air. "This is the immortality pill that you wished for. You may consume it," Yi Qingtang placed that pill in the emperor's hand indifferently. Excitement filled the emperor's eyes as he cautiously received the pill and examined it detailedly. Leaving aside the effects of consuming this immortality pill, just the smell of it in his hands cleared his mind and refreshed him. The emperor kept that immortality pill carefully, but a thought occurred to him. Although the immortal said that this was an immortality pill, the emperor was still rather worried as, after all, he once offended her. May I know what plans you have in the coming days? My Yuan kingdom has always respected immortals greatly. If you don't mind, you can stay here for a few days. I will immediately order people to prepare a place for you. If you are free, can you preach to my citizens? The emperor spoke cautiously in a probing tone, and the way he phrased his sentences made him seem to be asking on his citizens' behalf. In reality, he wanted Yi Qingtang to remain in the Yuan kingdom as firstly, the kingdom would flourish rapidly with an immortal overseeing them. Secondly, a few decades were needed to see if the immortality pill really had any effect. If the immortal left and he realized that there was something wrong with this pill in the future, he had no one to turn to. Yi Qingtang looked at the emperor without any emotions as though she was thinking about his suggestion. However, she was jolly on the inside. The pill that she gave the emperor just now was merely an ordinary pill in the central mainland and indeed could strengthen one's body. But immortality? That was really overthinking it. In Yi Qingtang's original world, as long as one was powerful enough, living for hundreds or thousands of years was not an issue. With the Holy Lord of Shadow's skills, living up to 10,000 years was also normal. Chapter 1370 An Immortal. 3 Who would study on an immortality pill for nothing? It was unlike this world, where being 100 years old was already considered longevity. The reason that Yi Qingtang used the pill to deceive the emperor was so that the emperor would go according to her plans. Using the emperor's powers to set up a sect in the Yuan kingdom and preach to the citizens could easily complete the God of Nature's second mission. Seeing that Yi Qingtang did not reply, the emperor could not help but feel nervous. Rest assured, immortal. We will not interfere with anything that you do in the Yuan kingdom. Whether you are willing to preach or not is up to you, immortal. The emperor spoke with caution in fear that he would piss the immortal away. Seeing that she had put on airs sufficiently, Yi Qingtang said with reluctance, since it is to preach and guide the humans in the world, it is not impossible. The emperor's heart finally relaxed after hearing what Yi Qingtang said. Your kindness is admirable. Rest assured, immortal. Everything will be arranged suitably, the emperor said. Yi Qingtang nodded slightly. Currently, the Dongfang family were so fearful that they did not even dare to let out a fart. Seized with terror, they kneeled on the ground in trepidation and reverence. Since Yi Qingtang agreed to preach in the Yuan kingdom, given her identity as an immortal, she naturally would not continue to stay in a general's residence. The emperor specially arranged a new residence for Yi Qingtang, which was much larger than the general's residence. Although she moved out of the general's residence, General Qiao also benefited from this incident. There was a saying that, when a man attains the Tao, even his pets ascend to heaven. Not only was General Qiao not implicated by Dongfang Qing's death, but his official rank even increased successively. In contrast, the premier's family was startled after knowing that the previously dim-witted Su Qiao was the reincarnation of an immortal. Su Qiao's initial fiancé, especially, could not sleep the entire night and was filled with surprise and regret after learning about it. If Su Moer was not the general's daughter as well, the premier's family would already have kicked her out of the house a long time ago. However, despite so, they treated her with a bad attitude plenty of times. After all, everyone was aware that Su Moer and Su Qiao were not on good terms. Even the general's wife, who was waiting for good news in the Dongfang residence, was completely dumbfounded to hear that Su Qiao was the reincarnation of an immortal. The Dongfang family naturally did not dare to let the general's wife stay for long and chased her out in no time. On her way back, the general's wife received a certificate of divorcement. General Qiao divorced her. Yi Qingtang remained in the elegant manner newly provided by the emperor. Yi Qingtang made use of this time to cultivate, as she still had some time for cultivation before the emperor finished the preparations. Although this world's martial realm was pitifully low, the spirit energy was extremely nourishing. Yi Qingtang merely cultivated in seclusion for a few days, but her skills improved by leaps and bounds. Every time she advanced by a heaven, a layer of red gleam enveloped her manner. The citizens in the imperial city were boiling with excitement. As the Yuan kingdom's emperor admired immortals, the entire kingdom followed in his footsteps and respected immortals greatly over time. The citizens watched the red gleam. In a few days, all sorts of offerings were placed outside Yi Qingtang's manor, and citizens worshipped her at her door regardless of day or night. Chapter 1371 Quack 1 When there were many people, the citizens who came to worship her filled the streets near the manor, and the densely populated streets formed a magnificent scene. Yi Qingtang, who was focused on cultivation, was completely unaware of it. In contrast, after learning about the situation, the emperor ordered people to spread the news that an immortal reincarnated in the Yuan kingdom and notified the citizens that they were building an immortal pavilion, where the immortal would personally preach to the Yuan citizens in no time. Once the information was released, the citizens in the imperial city were extremely delighted. In no time, apart from the imperial city, the news spread to the entire Yuan kingdom, and there was an influx of pilgrims in the imperial city. After the emperor swallowed the immortality pill that Yi Qingtang gave him, his gray sideburns lessened greatly, which strengthened the emperor's desire to keep the immortal in the Yuan kingdom. He spent a large amount of money to build an immortal pavilion for Yi Qingtang and even told the whole Yuan kingdom to be respectful to the immortal, or else any offenders would be killed along with their entire family. The emperor moved quickly, perhaps to ask for more immortality pills after serving her well. In half a month, the construction of the immortal pavilion was completed. The immortal pavilion was about 100 meters tall, which seemed to reach the clouds. Moreover, its interior was exquisitely designed. On the day that he invited Yi Qingtang to enter the immortal pavilion, the emperor even attracted many citizens over to worship according to the norms of an emperor's ascension. Standing on the immortal pavilion, Yi Qingtang looked down at all the citizens who kneeled on the ground and had a complicated feeling, but at this instant, the god of nature who floated behind her said leisurely, "Congratulations, the second mission is completed." Although he was congratulating her, there was no happiness in his tone at all. Yi Qingtang looked at the 2 nebula points that she just received, and her lips twitched. 2 missions, 3 nebula points. The points required to exchange for items in the star pavilion easily reached thousands, and Yi Qingtang wished she could kick the god of nature down from the immortal pavilion. She had seen a shameless person before, but not such a shameless one. She no longer counted on the nebula points. Fortunately, the spirit energy in this world comforted her injured soul. "Immortal, the citizens are extremely thankful for your kindness and wish to know if you are willing to show your face," the emperor said in between pants after climbing up the pavilion where he saw Yi Qingtang standing upright. Previously, when Yi Qingtang entered the immortal pavilion, the emperor was afraid that the immortal disliked mortals looking at her and thus specially ordered the citizens to kneel down and lower their heads. Thinking that she had to stay in this world for a period of time anyways, Yi Qingtang did not say anything. Then, she raised her foot lightly, flew straight out of the immortal pavilion, and floated in the air above everyone. Everyone in the city trembled in awe at the sight, causing a deafening stir. "Ah! Immortal! Greetings, immortal!" The citizens were extremely excited. Yi Qingtang raised a hand and retrieved a bottle of water from her space ring. With the flick of a finger, raindrops scattered down. The citizens were completely aroused as they looked up to cautiously welcome the rain dew that the immortal bestowed. After drinking it, their expressions were that of extreme satisfaction as though they were in paradise. Yi Qingtang stared blankly. That water was used to quench her thirst on normal days and was retrieved from some random spring in the wild. However, she always had it with her when cultivating, so it contained a little spirit energy in it. Chapter 1372 Quack 2 At this moment, Yi Qingtang truly believed that no one here knew how to cultivate spirit energy. Over the 4 weeks, no one was aware of or could sense the rich spirit energy here and instead swarmed after the spring water that contained a little spirit energy. Once Yi Qingtang returned to the immortal pavilion, she saw the emperor looking at her eagerly. Immortal, that immortal do. Thinking that she still had some use for the emperor in the future, Yi Qingtang readily tossed the water pouch with a little water left to the emperor. The emperor behaved as though he received an ultimate treasure instantly. Looking up, he poured the remaining few drops of immortal dew into his mouth in satisfaction. The effects of the immortal dew that you bestowed is indeed stunning. I feel that my whole body is reinvigorated after taking a sip. The emperor returned the water pouch. His face was flushed, and he appeared extremely energized. Yi Qingtang stared blankly at him. Is this really not a psychological effect? Although there was slight spirit energy in the water that was beneficial in nourishing the body, this bit of spirit energy was really nothing to cultivators in Yi Qingtang's world. After the completion of the immortal pavilion, the citizens who were fortunate to obtain the immortal dew boasted about its miraculous effects. They were just short of bragging that it could revive a dead person. Distressed by the failure to obtain the immortal dew, people brought offerings to the immortal pavilion daily and did the formal etiquette of kneeling 3 times and kowtowing 9 times. Yi Qingtang suddenly felt that she was a quack. But it had to be said that, as compared to the pressing atmosphere in the Temple of Shadows where she had to move cautiously, in this world, she was a god. Rapidly, the entire mainland learned that there was an immortal in the Yuan kingdom. Yi Qingtang did not receive the next mission from the god of nature for some time and suspected if he despised this world so much that he could not even be bothered to assign missions. However, Yi Qingtang also did not care enough to continue bad-mouthing the god of nature. In the month that she was in the Yuan kingdom, Yi Qingtang's skills improved drastically with the help of the spirit energy in this world, and she advanced to the arcane supremacy 5th heaven. However, as her cultivation base improved, the speed of cultivation slowed down, and there was no progress for consecutive days. There was a huge gap between the 5th and 6th heaven, thus, the spirit energy required was all the more multiplied. Just as Yi Qingtang was wondering about the ways to sustain the speed of her advancement, the god of nature finally spoke. The 3rd mission. Michem. Yi Qingtang looked up. Attain the admiration of everyone in this mainland. Yi Qingtang stared at the god of nature, who spouted alarming words. Could he be even more ridiculous? According to the motion of his missions, would he ask her to attain the admiration of everyone in this world subsequently? What exactly did he want to do? Before Yi Qingtang could question the god of nature about his intentions, the emperor suddenly sent Long Qi to visit her. Greetings, immortal. The Dragon Court sect has invited the rulers of various sects to head to the floating island 7 days later. The emperor has sent me to find out if you are interested in heading there. Dragon Court sect. This name was not foreign to Yi Qingtang as she had more or less understood this world in the past month since arriving here. The Dragon Court sect was an esteemed place in this entire mainland for people who cultivated to achieve immortality. Its believers could be found everywhere in this mainland such that even some royal families and emperors were believers of the Dragon Court sect. It was rumored that an immortal presided over the Dragon Court sect and wielded control of the entire sect. Every year, he would decide on a period of time to allow believers to head there to bestow his favor. Chapter 1373 Quack 3 However, the Dragon Court sect never listed the Yuan kingdom as its believer, and even if the Yuan emperor went there personally to enter the Dragon Court sect, he was rejected at the doorstep. Yet, unexpectedly, it suddenly sent someone to invite Yi Qingtang this time. After receiving this information, she could not help but look at where the god of nature was. Could this fellow have predicted all of this from the start? Was that why he assigned her the 3rd mission just now? The immortals in the Dragon Court sect. From Yi Qingtang's knowledge of this world, anyone from her world would be treated by this world as an immortal. Could it be that the immortal in the Dragon Court sect was also deceived by the god of nature? Yi Qingtang had no interest in whatever sect, yet the god of nature just assigned a mission. Attain the admiration of everyone in this mainland. She had to go even if she did not want to. Yi Qingtang accepted the invitation, and Long Qi was delighted. The Dragon Court sect was the place closest to immortals in this mainland and was a holy land to many people. Previously, the Dragon Court sect had always been unwilling to accept the Yuan Kingdom, but it took the initiative to invite them this year. If the immortal could establish good relations with the Dragon Court sect, the Yuan Kingdom could also be acknowledged in the Dragon Court sect in the future. After learning that Yi Qingtang agreed to head to the floating island, the emperor was very heartened and overjoyed. It had been a very long time since the Yuan Kingdom could raise its head in front of the Dragon Court sect. Now that their immortal was willing to head there, it would naturally boost their reputation. The Dragon Court sect had an immortal, but so does our Yuan Kingdom. However, it was the first time that they received the Dragon Court sect's invitation after all. Thus, the Yuan Emperor still made full preparations. Even the carriage that Yi Qingtang sat in was built with an exorbitant fee, where the extremely luxurious carriage was covered in gold and embedded with a generous quantity of gems. In the sunlight, those gems glistened and almost blinded one's eyes. Beside the carriage were hundreds of people in the same uniform who each held a flag. However she looked, they all seemed like quacks as well. Yi Qingtang's lips twitched at the sight of the carriage that could not be exaggerated any further. She had lost all hope for the Yuan Emperor's sense of aesthetics. Immortal, are you satisfied with this carriage? The emperor did not sense Yi Qingtang's oddity and asked with a tone of flattery. Yi Qingtang missed the Temple of Shadows black bone carriage dearly right now. There's no need. The journey is long, and a carriage would be too slow. What Yi Qingtang said was the truth though. Although the Yuan Kingdom assigned her 8 majestic horses, compared to the 3 skeletal dragons from the Temple of Shadows. Wasn't that speed like that of a tortoise? Before the emperor realized what Yi Qingtang meant, he suddenly saw Yi Qingtang flying into the sky immediately with the little white tiger in her arms and disappearing without a trace in a few breaths' time. Ah! I was foolish. I actually forgot that an immortal does not need to ride a carriage in the mortal world, the emperor lamented as he looked at the empty sky, and he all the more realized that an immortal's powers were incomparable to those of an ordinary person. Yi Qingtang truly despised the overly exaggerated carriage, which was also especially hideous. It was a massive reduction to her style. The floating island was situated above the central ocean of this mainland and was distant from the shores. However, the Dragon Court sect was only open to pilgrims for a fixed date, and all believers set out ahead of time in fear that they would miss the day. Chapter 1374 Floating Island 1 The Dragon Court sect sent a large boat to the shores of each country to transport its guests. As the most important sect in this mainland, the Dragon Court sect possessed incomparable wealth. Every kingdom considered it an honor to present their offerings to the immortal of the Dragon Court sect. They even competed in terms of tribute, with each kingdom sending a more sumptuous tribute than the next, to prove that their kingdom respected the Dragon Court sect the most. When Yi Qingtang arrived at the coastal port, she boarded the boat from the Dragon Court sect with her invitation in hand. This was the last boat from the Dragon Court sect. If she missed it, she would be unable to reach the island. Yi Qingtang could have flown there directly. However, neither Su Qiao nor Yi Qingtang had heard much about the Dragon Court sect in the Yuan Kingdom. All that was mentioned were the existence of an immortal in the Dragon Court sect and the various praises of the Dragon Court sect. Yi Qingtang was also uncertain whether the Dragon Court sect's immortal was an explorer lured there by the god of nature. As a result, she was more cautious. Although the Holy Lord of Shadows had sealed the illusory void in the temple thousands of years ago, this illusory void must have been outside before she sealed it, and others could naturally enter it. Yi Qingtang was uncertain whether all those people had already left. After all, the rules were set by that unreliable god. Also, the illusory void did not just open in the central mainland, which was in the first domain. When Yiqing Tang was in the second domain, she had also heard a rumor that it had opened thousands of years ago. As to what it was like, who could tell? It took at least 5 days to get from the shore to the floating island. Yiqing Tang had nothing to do on the boat. When she was done cultivating, she listened to the disciples on the boat praising the works of the Dragon Court sect, like resurrecting the dead, and ensuring peace for the nations, and praying for rain. They had numerous incidents like that to recount. The Dragon Court sect was absolutely omnipotent. As long as one had enough faith, the Dragon Court sect would protect them. If one was lucky enough, the immortal of the Dragon Court sect might even bless them, and if anyone dared to offend the Dragon Court sect at all, everyone would despise him. She heard that an emperor from one of the kingdoms had been rude to an ambassador from the Dragon Court sect, and the other kingdoms had simply exterminated the entire kingdom. In this mainland, if one angered royalty or someone influential, they could escape from the country and lead an ignoble existence. But if one offended the Dragon Court sect, there was nowhere to hide in this wide world. Now, Yiqing Tang finally understood the Yuan kingdom's frenzied adoration of immortals. It was probably the same in every kingdom in this mainland. Yiqing Tang was just thinking about the clues she had gathered when there was a commotion from the head of the boat. She looked over to see an arrogant-looking man dressed in white, surrounded by a group of disciples. This man was a prince in one of the kingdoms. This year, the Dragon Court sect had recognized his worth and permitted him to enter the sect as one of its official disciples. One might say that everyone in this mainland longed for this kind of recognition. This man had immediately given up his status as a prince and thrown himself into the Dragon Court sect's embrace. Rumor had it that his royal parents were very proud of him because of this. Yiqing Tang was entertained by all this. The 5 days passed quickly, and the boat finally stopped at the shore of the floating island. The former prince who had just entered the Dragon Court sect disembarked, attended by a large crowd. He had probably received more flattery along the way than he ever did when he was a prince. Yiqing Tang also disembarked. She raised her eyes to see that the floating island had a tall pavilion that reached the clouds. Before she even got close to it, strains of ancient music reached her ears. Chapter 1375 Floating Island 2 Because Yiqing Tang was on the last boat to reach the floating island, many Dragon Court sect disciples had already arrived at the island. Yiqing Tang looked around. Many of the disciples were important people. Even the royal parents of the former prince, who had just entered the Dragon Court sect, seemed to have arrived at the floating island before them. It was common to see the monarchs of the various kingdoms on the floating island. Here, the monarchs of the various kingdoms and the elites from anywhere all presented smiling and respectful attitudes towards the Dragon Court sect's ambassador on the floating island. Rather, it was the men from the Dragon Court sect who treated these obviously important disciples rather distantly and without any smiles. Yiqing Tang was alone, and no one bothered her. She was about to seize the opportunity to look around the floating island and gain some understanding of the Dragon Court sect, when Immortal! Immortal! Yiqing Tang had not yet lifted her foot when she heard a familiar voice shouting. She turned to see the Yuan Emperor, who should have been in his palace in the Yuan kingdom. He emerged from the crowd of disciples, his round belly preceding him, and squeezed himself through the crowd towards Yiqing Tang. What was he doing here? Yiqing Tang was startled but did not show it. The short jog caused the Yuan Emperor to sweat profusely. He walked towards Yiqing Tang cheerfully, followed by Long Qi and the others. I almost snubbed you because I did not consider the matter properly. How could I allow an immortal to come here by herself? After thinking it over, I felt it was inappropriate, so I brought my men and hurried here through the night. The Yuan Emperor looked at Yiqing Tang jovially. One must know that the Dragon Court sect had never approached the Yuan kingdom. Even though the Yuan kingdom, like all the other kingdoms, had presented their offerings every month, they had never obtained any favor from the Dragon Court sect. Now, the Dragon Court sect had invited the immortal from their Yuan kingdom. It was a rare opportunity, and the Yuan emperor was naturally reluctant to miss the chance to interact with the Dragon Court sect. Thus, he had hurried over. "Why have all of you come?" Yi Qingtang gazed at the sweating Yuan emperor and then glanced at Long Qi and the others who were behind him. Then, she realized that the Yuan empress was here too. "We missed the last boat, so we sailed here ourselves," the Yuan emperor said with a laugh. They had received their invitation late, so although they had hurried, they had missed the last boat. Fortunately, the Yuan kingdom was rich, and the location of the floating island was no secret. Since they had missed the boat, they sailed in their own boat. Yi Qingtang silently glanced at the Yuan emperor. Although he was soaking in sweat, the Yuan emperor was dressed luxuriously. Perhaps he wished to give the Dragon Court sect a good impression, so he seemed to have worn all his jewels. Yi Qingtang saw that the Yuan empress was wearing 18 luminous pearls, each the size of a quail's egg, on the back of her head. She wondered if the empress' neck would be crushed anytime soon. The Yuan emperor still wanted to say something to Yi Qingtang, but his shout had attracted the attention of everyone in the vicinity. A middle-aged man dressed in a yellow robe ambled over. One could tell from his crown that he must be an emperor in one of this world's kingdoms. "Yuan emperor, is this your Yuan kingdom's immortal?" The emperor from another kingdom strolled over with his men. But when he looked at Yi Qingtang, his expression was unpleasant. Chapter 1376 Floating Island 3, Qi Emperor. The Yuan kingdom looked towards the sound. When he saw the middle-aged man, his expression stiffened. This middle-aged monarch was the emperor of the Qi kingdom. The Yuan kingdom was at most at the bottom of the list of powerful kingdoms, but the Qi kingdom was one of the most powerful kingdoms in this mainland. All the powerful kingdoms in this mainland were disciples of the Dragon Court sect, and it was natural for the Qi emperor to be present. "Yuan emperor, even if you are unwilling to present your offerings, there is no need to fabricate some lie about an immortal." "Immortal? Ha, how dare you?" The Qi emperor looked at Yi Qingtang condescendingly. Every kingdom knew that the Yuan kingdom was not in favor with the Dragon Court sect. No matter how many offerings the Yuan kingdom made, they could not gain recognition from the Dragon Court sect. In the past, the Yuan kingdom had devised all kinds of ways to get the Dragon Court sect to acknowledge it, and its yearly offerings had become increasingly lavish. But the situation had not changed. Nobody was stupid. After spending so much and getting nothing in return, the Yuan kingdom was probably unwilling to continue. Thus, it had lied that its kingdom had an immortal so that it could use it as an excuse to stop presenting offerings. The Yuan emperor was startled to hear this. He was inwardly unhappy but did not dare to offend the Qi kingdom. "Qi emperor, be careful of what you say. This immortal is completely authentic." "Oh." The Qi emperor raised one brow slightly and studied Yi Qingtang, a disdainful smile on his face. "Yuan emperor, do you think I'm so easily fooled? Immortal, this little girl by your side is only a teenager. Have you ever seen an immortal like that? One cannot claim to be an immortal just based on good looks." The Qi emperor laughed coldly and continued. "You say she's an immortal, but can she resurrect someone? Or bring a withered tree back to life? Or fly up high and traverse the void? Who said their immortal could not fly?" The Yuan emperor turned pale as the Qi emperor mocked him. The Yuan kingdom could not compare to the Qi kingdom and the other powerful kingdoms, and they had not been favored by the Dragon Court sect. As a result, the countries that venerated the Dragon Court sect also looked down on the Yuan kingdom, feeling that because the immortal had deserted the Yuan kingdom, it would be exterminated sooner or later. The Yuan emperor was angry and frustrated but did not dare to lose his temper. He could only look at Yi Qingtang as if pleading for her opinion. But when he looked, the Yuan emperor was taken aback. The Qi emperor had spoken so nastily and completely denied Yi Qingtang's status as an immortal. However, this immortal did not seem to mind. The Yuan emperor's anger slowly subsided. "That's right. Why would an immortal care what an ordinary person thought? Little did they know that, the Qi Emperor was exactly right. Yi Qingtang was no immortal. She merely held the title of immortal because of the mission that the annoying god of nature had given her. The Qi Emperor thought that Yi Qingtang would protest, but when he saw that she did not say a word, he did not think it was unusual. It would be a great joke if an immortal really appeared in the Yuan kingdom. Who knew where the Yuan Emperor had dragged this girl from, to pose as an immortal? How could a fake immortal possibly dare stand up to the Emperor of the Qi kingdom? If the Qi Emperor doesn't believe us, so be it. Of course an immortal won't quibble with you, the Yuan Emperor replied, thinking he had understood the immortal's loftiness. The Qi Emperor laughed coldly. You're really obsessed with your pretense. Suit yourself, but let me remind you, you are now on the Dragon Court sect's floating island. Posing as an immortal will make the Dragon Court sect unhappy. Chapter 1377 Boundless Power 1. If you know what's good for you, you will voluntarily ask for forgiveness. Otherwise, the Dragon Court sect's immortal will think that the Yuan kingdom asked someone to pose as an immortal, thus insulting the dignity of immortals. Then, your Yuan kingdom probably will not exist anymore. The Qi Emperor coldly flung these words at them. He had no interest in talking nonsense with the Yuan Emperor. He turned to leave with his royal entourage. The Yuan Emperor almost vomited blood when he heard the Qi Emperor's mocking words. But the Yuan kingdom was no match for the Qi kingdom, so he had no choice but to tolerate the insult. Immortal, you can just ignore them. The Dragon Court sect must have recognized your immortal status. When the time comes, these rumors will naturally prove to be unfounded. The Yuan Emperor looked at Yi Qingtang and suddenly felt fearless and high-hearted. How could a common person like the Qi Emperor recognize an immortal? Their Yuan kingdom had an immortal. Yi Qingtang felt conflicted when she saw the Yuan Emperor's worshipful expression. How successful was she as an impostor? However, if Yi Qingtang wanted to accomplish the god of nature's third mission, she would have to continue her act. Furthermore, she had to do so impeccably so that no one could spot any flaws. The truth was that the Qi Emperor was not the only one with doubts. With Yi Qingtang's superior sense of hearing, if she wanted to, she could clearly hear what everyone on the floating island's shores was saying. After the Yuan Emperor had shouted, "Immortal," many believers had looked at them mockingly. When they whispered together, their taunting words were more unpleasant than what the Qi Emperor had said. The Yuan kingdom is really daring. They dragged any Tom, Dick, and Harry here to pose as an immortal. Someone like her is an immortal. She's not fit to lick the bootstraps of an immortal. When the time comes, we'll see how the Dragon Court sect's ambassadors punish this woman who offends the dignity of immortals. There were countless words like that, each more unpleasant than the next. The Yuan Emperor could not hear as well as Yi Qingtang, so he did not hear these words. Today was the Dragon Court sect's pilgrimage day. Many of the Dragon Court sect's servants led the believers towards the pilgrimage site. These servants were the lowliest ones in the Dragon Court sect and were not ambassadors. Even so, they approached the monarchs of the various kingdoms with arrogance. The usually lofty monarchs did not complain and continued to smile. Anyone with the least connection with the Dragon Court sect was not to be offended. Yi Qingtang saw all this. She grew increasingly perplexed at this world's reverence for immortals. Yi Qingtang was also increasingly curious about this Dragon Court sect. Was the Dragon Court sect's immortal authentic? The Qi Emperor had mentioned resurrecting the dead. Could this immortal really do that? The Dragon Court sect held the highest status in this mainland. The monthly and yearly offerings presented by the various kingdoms formed a small mountain. The pilgrimage site on Floating Island was incredibly luxurious. At a glance, she could tell that although it was not utterly resplendent, it was imbued with an air of nobility. Even the ground was paved with precious stones of various sizes instead of cobblestones. Yi Qingtang really experienced the wealth of the Dragon Court sect. The pilgrimage had not officially started. Everyone took their seats. Although they talked softly among themselves, they did not create a great din. Why is there no wine in the wine decanter? After the Yuan emperor took his seat, he saw that an exquisite wine decanter was set on each table. This was his first time on pilgrimage, and he could not help but feel a little nervous. He wanted a drink but discovered that the wine decanters were empty, and he could not pour himself any wine. Chapter 1378 Boundless Power 2 The Yuan Emperor was big and fleshy. Although he had muttered to himself, his voice was so loud that many of the other disciples heard him. The Qi Emperor, who had previously looked down on the Yuan Emperor, heard it and laughed coldly. Yuan Emperor, don't forget yourself. The immortal wine given by the immortal cannot be drunk whenever you like. The Yuan Emperor's face darkened with resentment, but he was afraid of breaking the rules, so he did not dare to say anything. But many people thought it was funny. Not long after the Qi Emperor finished speaking, a huge jade door at the front of the hall slowly opened. The believers, who had been talking among themselves, immediately fell silent when they saw the jade door open. Everyone's eyes turned to look at the slowly opening door with respect and reverence. Clang! Clang, the clear notes of a brass gong rang out from the doorway. Layers of mist billowed through the door and into the main hall. A few figures could be vaguely seen at the doorway. Everyone in the main hall was surrounded by mist. As they looked at the billowing immortal aura, they were filled with a sense of awe, and their expressions were reverent. A moment later, a few handsome men dressed in white suddenly flew through the jade door, suspended in midair. There was nothing beneath their feet, yet they moved through the air as if walking on level ground. They looked to be at most 27 or 28 years old and were handsome. However, their tilted chins and chilly looks gave them a remote and unapproachable air. In the mist, their white robes made them seem even more aloof. These were the ambassadors of the Dragon Court sect. Yi Qingtang raised her brows slightly. She looked at the flying ambassadors of the Dragon Court sect and then glanced at the Yuan Emperor. The Yuan Emperor was completely taken aback by the flying ambassadors. He had never attended Pilgrimage Day and had not seen the Dragon Court sect's ambassadors before. He had only heard that the Immortal had bestowed flying abilities on the Dragon Court sect's ambassadors. So when Yi Qingtang had taken flight previously, he had been shocked and believed that she was an immortal. Besides the Dragon Court sect's ambassadors who had received the Immortal's blessing, who else could fly? The mist swirled around, obscuring the entire hall. The believers felt blessed as they bathed in the immortal aura. They blissfully enjoyed the sensation of being encircled by immortal aura. Immortal, thank you for your favor in nourishing us with your immortal aura, a monarch said gratefully. The ambassadors looked remote and nodded slightly. Although they were suspended in midair, they all stood steadily. The Yuan Emperor had heard that on Pilgrimage Day, if the Immortal wished to, he could pass among the believers through the immortal aura. Now that he personally saw the immortal aura surround him, he was filled with delight and surprise. He breathed deeply, hoping to suck in more immortal aura. Before they entered the hall, everyone on the shores of the floating island had been under the hot sun for some time. These pampered monarchs and members of the royal family were already showing faint signs of heatstroke, with each face redder than the next. But after breathing in the immortal aura, their dizziness cleared immediately, and their complexion returned to normal. They were also re-energized. Yi Qingtang glanced at the immortal aura floating past her. Her face was expressionless. Today is the Pilgrimage Day. The Immortal gives you wine. The ambassadors seemed used to all this and took no notice of the delighted crowd that was absorbing the immortal aura. Only when the ambassadors spoke did the believers in the hall reach out to pour the wine. Chapter 1379 Boundless Power 3 The wine decanters had been empty, but now, they were filled with excellent wine. The Yuan Emperor was shocked when he saw everyone pouring out wine. He picked up the formerly empty decanter and tilted it in disbelief. Wine fumes entered his nostrils as clear, excellent wine flowed from the spout. This, Really is the wine given by the immortal, the Yuan Emperor looked shocked. No wonder the Qi Emperor said that the wine given by the immortal cannot be drunk whenever you like. The decanter was empty, but the immortal used his powers to give us wine. The Yuan Emperor was afraid to miss out on the immortal's kindness, so he drank deeply. Immortal wine is truly exceptional, he looked deeply satisfied. Yi Qingtang took the wine decanter and glanced at it. Then, she swept a glance under the feet of the flying ambassadors. Her lips arched, but she did not say anything. Yuan Emperor, is the wine given by the immortal nice? The Qi Emperor asked suddenly. The Yuan Emperor was intoxicated by the immortal's kindness and said without thinking, of course it's nice. You've never drunk it before, right? Why? Has your Yuan kingdom's immortal ever given you wine? The Qi Emperor was just waiting for the Yuan Emperor to respond like that before he pounced. The Yuan Emperor's expression stiffened. He knew that the Qi Emperor was sneering at him. But before the Yuan Emperor could reply, a white-haired old man suddenly rose and kneeled before the ambassadors. Please, immortal, have mercy and save my son. This old man was an adherent of the Dragon Court sect and had been a sincere believer for many years. He had one son who also believed in the Dragon Court sect. But not long ago, the son was involved in an accident. While out hunting, he was attacked by wild beasts and killed. The old man had come here today to plead the immortal to bring his son back to life. You have believed in our Dragon Court sect wholeheartedly. The immortal is naturally aware of your sincerity. But it is up to the immortal whether he will save your son. Has your son's body been properly preserved? An ambassador said loftily. Yes, 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 I ordered someone to make an ice coffin. The old man nodded vigorously. The ambassador nodded slightly and left to report to the immortal. A low and melodious voice suddenly rang out from beyond the jade door. Bring your son forward. The moment this voice rang out, all the believers in the hall looked expectant. Thank you, immortal. Thank you, immortal, the old man immediately kowtowed gratefully. This voice belonged to the Dragon Court sect's immortal. Since the immortal had said that, it meant he had agreed to the old man's plea. When everyone saw this, they were filled with envy at the old man's good fortune. Before long, the old man had ordered the ice coffin holding his son to be carried forward. In the ice coffin was a middle-aged man, about 30 years old or so. His face was ashen and his lips bloodless. His chest remained still and did not rise and fall. He was dead. At that moment, everyone's gaze was centered on the ice coffin. They were waiting for the immortal to use his powers to resurrect the dead. Yi Qingtang's gaze was also on the ice coffin. The next moment, a flash of light suddenly flew from the jade door and sank into the ice coffin. The crystal-clear ice coffin was instantly covered with a blinding red glow. When the red glow slowly vanished, the body in the ice coffin suddenly moved. He's alive, he's really alive. The Yuan Emperor stared in wonder at the dead man, who was now struggling to sit up in the ice coffin. He was more shocked than anyone else present. A qualified quack won. The Qi Emperor and the other believers had been adherents of the Dragon Court sect for many years, and this was not the first time they had seen the immortal use his powers to resurrect the dead. They did not show any signs of surprise and merely looked reverent. Of course the immortal can resurrect the dead when he uses his powers. Yuan Emperor, you claim that your Yuan kingdom also has an immortal, so why are you so surprised at this little bit of immortal power? Ah, in the end, a fake is still a fake. Now that you have seen the power of the immortal, you and that sinner who pretended to be an immortal know how pathetic you are, the Qi Emperor said with a cold laugh. Yi Qingtang, the sinner who pretended to be an immortal, looked expressionlessly at the man who had risen from the ice coffin. When the old man saw his son come back to life, he kneeled and kowtowed to show his immense gratitude. When everyone saw this, they were filled with envy. Their faith in the Dragon Court sect was further strengthened. As long as they were sincere enough, the immortal would use his powers to save them. Today is very hot. We need some rain to provide moisture, the immortal's voice rang out from the jade door again. As he finished speaking, the patter of rain could immediately be heard from outside the hall. Although it had been a blazing hot day, torrential rain immediately poured down outside the hall. First, he had resurrected the dead. Then, he had created a downpour on a blazing hot day. This immortal's powers were truly boundless. The believers in the hall were filled with fear and trembling. Their faith in the Dragon Court sect became even more deeply rooted. Yi Qingtang glanced at the downpour outside. She could not even be bothered to smile. She had thought that the Dragon Court sect's immortal might be an explorer that the god of nature had trapped here. But now it looked as if he was a poseur who was even more professional than her, immortal aura that could relieve the summer heat. He had burned herbs that could relieve the summer heat. Empty decanters that suddenly produced wine. Had she not seen yin-yang wine decanters before? And the resurrection of the dead, that friend who drank the drug to fake death should be more professional. Since he was killed by wild beasts, why did his body show no sign of injury? Surely he had not been frightened to death, and the rain. Yi Qingtang peered through the heavy rain and looked at the sun high in the sky a few hundred meters away. Her lips twitched. As for those ambassadors who were balancing on a transparent thread, pretending to fly, Yi Qingtang did not want to talk about them. She was wrong. She was not a quack. This immortal within the jade door was the real quack. Fortunately, Yi Qingtang had real abilities. But this one was even better. Not only was he proficient in the use of illusions, but he had also worked seamlessly with others. That scene with the old father trying to save his son was a delightful show. Yi Qingtang had been cautious at first. However, as the Dragon Court sect's immortal produced one good show after another, Yi Qingtang's caution evaporated. This immortal's illusions would, at most, be used by artistes in the villages of central mainland. But here, they had made him an immortal, venerated by everyone. Just as she said. The people in this world were really gullible. Reality had proven that in this world, the martial arts standards were so low, and the people so inexperienced that it was pathetic. Yi Qingtang could see through all this because she was powerful enough. Her sight and hearing were many times superior to anyone here. These illusions could not escape her eye. Yuan Emperor, you have finally seen the immortal's power today. I wonder what kind of powers the immortal by your side has, the Qi Emperor asked suddenly, looking straight at Yi Qingtang. She dared to pose as an immortal and was still thick-skinned enough to participate in the Dragon Court sect's pilgrimage. She deserved to die. (1381) A qualified quack. Too many believers looked towards Yi Qingtang in sarcasm and discontentment after Emperor Qi finished his words. The believers from other kingdoms found it ridiculous that there was an immortal in the Yuan kingdom. However, they did not expect that the emperor of the Yuan kingdom would bring the fake immortal to the floating island. They were really trying to be humiliated. Yi Qingtang's expression did not change at all after hearing that. She just took a glimpse at Emperor Qi. What do you think, immortal? Emperor Qi smiled in a very fake way and spoke. It was not difficult to hear that his immortal had a different meaning. Stop it, Emperor Qi. Today is the pilgrimage day of the Dragon Court sect. They have the priority here. Are you trying to create troubles by asking Immortal Su to show her ability? The Yuan Kingdom Emperor was not easily fooled this time. Emperor Qi humped. An immortal's voice came out from the jade door before he said anything. Emperor Yuan. The Yuan Kingdom Emperor's face was filled with respect when he was called out by the immortal. I heard that there's an immortal from your kingdom. Is that true? The immortal tried to speak in a superior way, but everyone was in awe. Yes. It's true. The Yuan Kingdom Emperor replied immediately. Oh. Is the immortal the lady beside you? The immortal asked. The Yuan Kingdom Emperor was slightly stunned. The immortal was in the jade door. Others could not see his appearance, but he could see everyone in the palace clearly. Yes, this is Immortal Su. If she was not invited by the Dragon Court sect this time, I would not be able to come along. Others might not be able to see whether Yi Qingtang was an immortal. However, the immortal in the Dragon Court sect must be able to tell. If not, why would he invite her here on the pilgrimage day? The Yuan Kingdom Emperor took a glimpse at Emperor Qi proudly. The invitation from the Dragon Court sect was the best proof. There was a short silence in the jade door before the immortal spoke again. Emperor Yuan, I think that you're mistaken. The Yuan Kingdom Emperor was only proud for a second before he was stunned after hearing the words. Immortal, what do you mean by that? I did not say anything about an invitation. What? The Yuan Kingdom Emperor was surprised. Not an invitation. How could this be? They brought the invitation letter from the Dragon Court sect here. I heard rumors saying that there is an immortal in the Yuan Kingdom. Normal people cannot challenge the prestige of immortals. We will never tolerate anyone who pretends to be an immortal, the immortal said in a dignified way. However, every word was signaling that Yi Qingtang was a fake immortal. Actually, there were many people who disguised themselves as immortals before in order to get respect and worships from others. They were all exposed by the Dragon Court sect and executed eventually. The Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom was stunned, and his expression was very unpleasant. Emperor Qi and other believers' faces were filled with sarcasm. Aversion could be seen clearly in their eyes. The immortal spoke again. If she is really an immortal, we will definitely welcome her. However, if she offends the prestige of the immortals, I doubt whether she knows the consequences. The immortal then spoke to Yi Qingtang. Immortal Su, please show your skills to prove yourself. If not, everyone will doubt your identity. It seemed that the immortal was nice, but his tone was very uncompromising. Chapter 1382 A qualified quack 3 If Yi Qingtang was a fake immortal, she would not be able to leave the floating island alive when she was exposed. Everyone stared at Yi Qingtang and waited to see the consequence of offending the prestige of immortals. Yi Qingtang's lips curled up into a smile when she saw the situation. She had yet exposed these liars, yet the quack inside the jade door was trying to provoke her. After all, Yi Qingtang knew that the so-called immortal in the Dragon Court sect was just a quack. They must value their positions since they were quacks. They would tolerate anyone who mimicked them to be believers. Thus, they would try all possible ways to expose others who pretended to be immortals. Firstly, they could strengthen the dignity of the Dragon Court sect. Secondly, they needed to prevent those copycats from exposing the deceptive ploys. The Dragon Court sect might be challenged as a result. Yi Qingtang was the next target of the Dragon Court sect. The invitation to the pilgrimage day was just a trap. Immortal Su, what do you think? The Emperor of the Yi Qingtang did not dare to say anything in front of the Dragon Court sect's immortal, but he also wished that Yi Qingtang could prove herself. Yi Qingtang glanced at the Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom and scoffed. Not interested. The Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom was stunned. It was not a matter of interest now. Yi Qingtang's rejection was expected. How could a fake immortal be able to showcase herself? The immortal inside the jade door also smiled. Emperor Yuan, what else do you need to say? The immortal has given his order, but the quack beside you still dare to reject his order. He must be fake. How dare you to mess with the immortal? Emperor Qi shouted. If the lady was a real immortal, why would she need to refuse? Other believers were on the same line as Emperor Qi. The Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom was panicking. He was sure that Yi Qingtang was an immortal. However, she did not care about the situation at all. Some real trouble would occur if the situation worsened. His concern soon came to reality. Emperor Yuan and the lady have pretended to be immortal and have offended the prestige of the immortals. Come, take him down. The immortal in the jade door said coldly. A group of the Dragon Court sect's envoys rushed in from the side. They were holding weapons and surrounded the Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom and Yi Qingtang. The Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom was pale. No matter what emperor he was, nothing was comparable to the Dragon Court sect. Based on the Dragon Court sect's position, it would not even be a problem for them to kill an emperor. Immortal Su. What are you waiting for? Do something. We're in real trouble now, the Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom said in fear, and he hid behind Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang looked up at the envoys who were about to surround them. Her eyes did not show any trace of emotion. You must face the consequences since you dare to pretend to be an immortal, the immortal behind the jade door said indifferently. After he finished his words, the group of envoys rushed towards Yi Qingtang and the rest. Though Long Qi and some other powerful figures came with the Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom, they did not dare to fight against the envoys of the Dragon Court sect. Chapter 1383 Exposing the Fraud 1 The Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom felt his legs shaking when he saw the sharp sword slashing towards his head. He immediately covered his head and shrieked. However, he did not feel the pain that he was expecting. He then opened his eyes secretly and saw. Yi Qingtang, who was sitting on the seat, raised her hand and used 2 fingers to stop the sword that was slashing towards the Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom. Yi Qingtang looked up. Her lips curved into a smile when she saw the group of envoys rushing towards her. She looked down again at the next second and remained still. However, she surged out her aura, and her white sleeve was floating under the influence of the aura. Boom, boom. After the aura was released, invisible waves of air filled the entire place. Within a blink of time, the group of envoys were thrown out, and the weapons in their hands fell to the ground as they groaned in pain. What happened? All the believers were in shock when they saw the envoys rolling around on the ground. I don't know, everyone felt confused as no one saw any movement, and the envoys were thrown out. Only the Emperor of the Yuan Kingdom looked towards Yi Qingtang in delight. The immortal finally decided to take action. Dragon Court sect is just like that. Yi Qingtang stood up slowly and glanced at the envoys on the ground. A cold smile appeared on her face. How dare you offend the Dragon Court sect? The believers did not know how the situation happened, but their expression changed when they heard that a quack was disrespecting the Dragon Court sect. Immortal, do not need to be angry with such a quack. Well, handle her, Emperor Qi and the rest said in order to please the Dragon Court sect. They brought many powerful people. The moment they gave their orders, near 100 people walked forward. Do you know that you'll never make it alive out of here today, quack? Who are you? How dare you offend the Dragon Court sect? We need to let you know the consequences of offending the Dragon Court sect and the dignity of the immortal. Emperor Qi said. Yi Qingtang lost some of the interest when she stared at those powerful people. Just shut up and come. Yi Qingtang did not bother to waste time on them. She lifted her chin slightly to provoke them. Emperor Qi and the rest had never seen someone who was so arrogant. They immediately asked all of those powerful people to restrain Yi Qingtang and the others from the Yuan Kingdom. The people Emperor Qi and the rest brought were the most powerful figures in their respective kingdoms. It would take only a second to settle the issue. The powerful people held their swords and dashed forward. All of them wanted to please the Dragon Court sect, and they did not bother to show any mercy. However, before they could even touch Yi Qingtang's clothes, a flame appeared by Yi Qingtang's fingertip. As she flickered her finger, the flame rushed towards those powerful people. In just the blink of an eye, the flame was like a wildfire and spread on those people's bodies. They did not even have time to try to extinguish the fire and were burned into ashes instantly. Hundreds of powerful people turned into ashes in front of everyone in a second. Chapter 1384 Exposing the Fraud 2. Everyone was stunned when they saw what just happened. What the hell was that? Emperor Qi stared at the flame on the ashes in shock. There was no more arrogance in his eyes. How could such a burst of flame appear on her hand all of a sudden? And the flames spread when it touched people. People can't even react to how quickly the flames spread. The hundreds of powerful people just burned into ash. They would never believe what had just happened if they did not witness that with their own eyes. Yi Qingtang glanced at the ash on the ground. She then pushed herself above the ground and floated in the midair. Flying in midair. The believers' faces were full of astonishment when they saw that. Yi Qingtang bent her finger, and the flame that was burning on the ashes suddenly flew back to Yi Qingtang. The flames concentrated into a black fire phoenix. The phoenix's entire body was burning with fire. It extended its wings and stood beside Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang gently touched its head, but her white fingers were not hurt from the fire at all. All the believers were shocked when they saw that. They thought that Yi Qingtang was just another quack, but everything she just did served as a slap to their faces. They witnessed how the flames burned a few hundred powerful people into ashes, but also how kind Yi Qingtang appeared to be. They were almost trembling in fear. Ah! The young lady here is really an immortal. No one dared to say anything else at that moment. Besides an immortal, who else could fly in the air or manipulate those terrifying flames? Who else wants to challenge me? Yi Qingtang floated in midair and glanced at everyone below coldly. Though it was just a quick glance, everyone could feel the pressure of 1,000 kilograms of weighing on them. They could not even breathe properly. Please forgive our ignorance. We should have never offended an immortal. We are willing to accept any punishment. Emperor Qi kneeled down below Yi Qingtang immediately. His body was full of sweat, and there was no more arrogance seen on him. The rest of the believers all kneeled down in fear. How could they dare to challenge the dignity of an immortal? They really wanted to slap themselves when they remembered how rude they were towards Yi Qingtang. After witnessing Yi Qingtang's immortal skills, the emperor of the Yuan kingdom, who was terrified, finally sighed in relief. His anger was vented when he saw Emperor Qi and the rest kneeling on the ground in fear. Emperor Qi, I remembered that you were so sure that Immortal Su was a quack. The emperor of the Yuan kingdom scoffed. Emperor Qi's face was pale. He apologized immediately. No, I was foolish and ignorant. I could not recognize an immortal. How could you be a quack? I was too foolish. Please forgive me, immortal. Though Emperor Qi and the rest were believers of the Dragon Court sect, they knew how large of a gap there was between them and a real immortal. Even if there were believers, the Dragon Court sect would not defend them when they provoked Yi Qingtang, who was an immortal. Chapter 1385 Exposing the Fraud 1. The emperor of the Yuan kingdom humphed and exhaled freely as he finally regained his reputation. Yi Qingtang did not bother with Emperor Qi and the rest's apology. She looked towards the half-closed jade door. It seems like I misjudged you. Please do not take it seriously, Immortal Su. Many people in this world tried to challenge the dignity of immortals. I was playing safe, and that's why I requested you to prove yourself. The immortal in the jade door finally spoke again. After witnessing Yi Qingtang's ability, he changed his words and attitude. Someone bring a chair for Immortal Su. She deserves the highest honor here, the immortal said slowly. It seemed that everything that just happened was just a misunderstanding, and he did that in order to protect the immortal's dignity. The emperor of the Yuan kingdom was delighted after hearing the immortal's words. The Dragon Court sect admitted Yi Qingtang's identity. The Yuan kingdom could use that to keep in contact with the Dragon Court sect more often in the future. Though Yi Qingtang was in the Yuan kingdom, the emperor certainly wanted to be close to an immortal sect like the Dragon Court sect. However, Yi Qingtang scoffed at how calm the immortal sounded and how he tried to explain himself for what just happened. You're right. No one could challenge the dignity of the immortals, yes. The immortal agreed. However, fierceness flashed across Yi Qingtang's eyes. She gently pointed her fingers, and the fire phoenix that was resting by her side suddenly dashed towards a few envoys, who were standing in midair. No one expected that to happen. The few envoys just witnessed how the fire phoenix burned so many powerful people into ash. Their faces were pale when they saw it dashing towards them. They jumped down from midair and fell hard onto the ground. The fire phoenix flapped its wings gently towards the place the envoys were standing just now. Flames spread out instantly in the air. Flames dropped down and burned along the transparent rope. The Dragon Court sect has challenged the dignity of the immortals for such a long time. How serious is the offense? Yi Qingtang stared at the burning ropes, and a smile appeared on her face. Everyone was stunned when they heard Yi Qingtang's words. What did that mean? The Dragon Court sect challenged the dignity of the immortal. The envoys who jumped down from midair kept sweating and wanted to run away instinctively. However, Yi Qingtang lifted up her hand and held them up without any contact. How dare you say that you're able to fly in the air? Yi Qingtang stared at the envoys who were held in the air. She narrowed her eyes and flipped her hand. The envoys were thrown up towards the ceiling of the palace. Now, show me how you fly. The envoys were pale as none of them really knew how to fly. The moment they were thrown out, they fell to the ground. They felt their bones fracture from the great impact. The believers in the palace were totally shocked and they saw the envoys hit the ground. What was happening? How come the envoys suddenly did not know how to fly? The person in the jade door sensed something was not right and wanted to escape from the secret path in the jade door. But any movement in the jade door could be detected by Yi Qingtang. Escaping? Yi Qingtang scoffed. She raised her hand and threw out the little white tiger. (1386) Exposing the fraud. For the moment the little white tiger was thrown out, its tiny body suddenly enlarged by 10 times. It seemed that the whole palace could not fit its body anymore. When its paw landed on the floor, the whole ground was trembling. Everyone in the palace could not stand straight when they saw the white tiger's size increase exponentially. What kind of divine beast is this? The tiger's roar pierced through everyone's ears. It dashed towards the delicate jade door and used its paw to smash through the door. A skinny white-robed elder with a long beard was about to escape from the secret path in fear. The white tiger smashed the person towards Yi Qingtang with its paw. The white tiger did not use any strength, but the power of a fiend celestial beast was not bearable for a normal human being. The elder with a long beard landed in front of Yi Qingtang. He spitted out a mouthful of blood as he was almost killed under the white tiger's paw. The elder with a long beard was the only one inside the jade door. It was obvious that he was the immortal that was speaking inside. In the past pilgrimage days of the Dragon Court sect, the immortal sometimes came out as well. He always dressed in a white robe. With his washed-up expression and the white beard, he appeared to be a real immortal under his disguise. However, the superior, divine, and majestic, immortal, collapsed on the ground now with blood by his mouth. A person like you also dares to call yourself an immortal? Yi Qingtang looked down at the skinny, immortal, and a smile appeared by her lips. The immortal was pale, and there was no immortal manner left on him at all. His body was trembling and full of sweat after he took a glimpse at Yi Qingtang. I've sinned. I should have never pretended to be an immortal. I should have never challenged the dignity of the immortal. Please spare my life. The immortal there was really terrified. After he took over the control of the Dragon Court sect, he always used different deceptive ploys to trick people. When he heard about the immortal in the Yuan kingdom, he wanted to eliminate the person as he thought that immortal was just a quack like himself. But he could never imagine that he would meet a real immortal. An immortal could see through his disguise immediately. He did not dare to find any excuses as he stared at the ashes on the floor. Everyone was stunned after hearing what the immortal said. Emperors from different kingdoms opened their eyes wide in disbelief as they had worshipped the Dragon Court sect for many years. Their eyes were almost going to pop out when they saw the elder kneeling and kowtowing in front of Yi Qingtang. The immortal is a quack. You're a fake immortal. Then, what about coming back to life? Emperor Qi's eyes were opened wide, and he asked in disbelief. I'm a quack. I don't know how to make people come back to life. That was just a ploy that I set up earlier. The elder did not dare to lie in front of Yi Qingtang. Then how about the Dragon Court sect? Everything is fake. I just want to trick you to worship us and provide us with tributes. The elder revealed the truth. Dragon Court sect started with a few people knowing how to set up certain tricks, but they did not expect that all the kingdoms believed in their tricks. They were greedy after seeing the tributes and carried on their tricks to gain people's trust and worship. The annual pilgrimage day was just for them to strengthen their position in people's minds. The immortal skills were all just some deceptive ploys. Chapter 1387 Difficult to refuse such kindness. When the believers who still could not make sense of the situation finally understood everything. The Dragon Court sect which they laid their belief in was the true quack, while that immortal Su was the true immortal. The fury of being fooled spread riled up in their hearts instantly, but they did not dare to act rashly before Yi Qingtang. Please forgive me, immortal. I dare not do it again, the elderly stammered. The person who you should seek forgiveness from is not me but them. Yi Qingtang's objective was to expose the Dragon Court sect's fraud, and she did not have the time to punish him. The elderly's expression froze, and a chill ran down his spine when he glanced at the believers around him, who wanted to devour him alive. However strong these believers worshipped the Dragon Court sect, however intense their resentment toward him was. The emperors had the most hatred as they had viewed the Dragon Court sect as the supreme faith and even lowered their own position before the Dragon Court sect. No emperor was easy to interact with, and their past submission was merely toward immortals. Yet they were facing a swindler right now. After Yi Qingtang showed her intention to not interfere with the Dragon Court sect matters, the emperors who were long annoyed completely erupted in fury. Apart from the emperors, many renowned powerful figures on this mainland were fooled as well. They were ultimately riled up at this moment and vented all their anger on everyone in the Dragon Court sect. Don't let them escape. Capture everyone in the Dragon Court sect and those fake believers that were in collusion with them. An emperor bellowed, and the Dragon Court sect ambassadors who attempted to use this opportunity to flee knew that there was trouble. There were many believers, including many powerful figures. The Dragon Court sect had been deceiving everyone with a cover-up and did not have any real abilities. In no time, everyone from the Dragon Court sect on the floating island was captured by the infuriated believers. After tying all of them up, they were thrown into an empty palace in a corner of the floating island. Yet, even after doing so, the masses' anger of being fooled did not dissipate. The Dragon Court sect's prestige had been established in this mainland for a long time, and all emperors and powerful figures fought to be the most faithful believer. But now, the entire Dragon Court sect was a scam. If this news was spread out, how could these emperors and powerful figures face the world? Did they have to tell everyone in the world that they were a bunch of blind fools? Such humiliation could not be erased even if they killed the entire Dragon Court sect. Yet, after venting their anger, everyone seemed to have lost their mainstay as shame, and resentment was written all over their faces. Yi Qingtang watched the chaos on the white tiger's back. After exposing the Dragon Court sect's pretense, she did not say anything further and watched everything silently as though all of that had nothing to do with her. Immortal Su, it is all thanks to you today. The Dragon Court sect behaved tyrannically on our mainland for such a long time and deceived plenty of people. It is fortunate that you are here to expose their schemes. The Yuan Emperor looked at Yi Qingtang with reverence and admiration. I have long suspected that there was something fishy with this Dragon Court sect, thus, I did not get too close to them all this time. I am here because I knew that you would definitely be able to tell their trickery with your sharp eyes, Immortal Su. The Yuan Emperor was relatively joyous, and his words were more than sweet. Chapter 1388 Difficult to refuse such kindness too anyway. The Dragon Court sect was never fond of the Yuan Kingdom, and it was better now that the Yuan Kingdom exposed the Dragon Court sect. Others may even think that the Yuan Kingdom was discerning and that it steered away from the Dragon Court sect because it knew about the Dragon Court sect's scheme all along. The Yuan Emperor, who once yearned to be part of the Dragon Court sect, was extremely fortunate. What bullshit Dragon Court sect! It could not even match up to their Immortal Su's finger. Yi Qingtang tugged her lips as she looked at the Yuan Emperor, who lied blatantly. In terms of changing attitude instantly, this person was truly outstanding. The emperors in the palace who were still worried about how to recover their reputation were delighted when they heard the Yuan Emperor. Right. Why did they not think of that? The Dragon Court sect was fake, but this Immortal Su was a true immortal. Almost immediately, those emperors exchanged a look and dashed toward Yi Qingtang, who was riding on the huge white tiger, before kneeling down in uniformity. Immortal Su. We were deceived by the Dragon Court sect and almost fell for their trap. Fortunately, you stepped in and exposed their true faces. We are extremely grateful to you. Emperor Qi's mouth seemed to be layered with honey as he praised Yi Qingtang vigorously. It's fine, Yi Qingtang said plainly with an aloof demeanor. Have you all returned to your senses? Didn't you say that Immortal Su was a quack just now? The Yuan Kingdom's emperor grabbed the opportunity and showed Emperor Qi down actively. Emperor Qi did not dare to refute and smiled. Yes, yes, yes. I was blind to not recognize your immortal demeanor. The Dragon Court sect is all to be blamed for being so cunning and fooling the world. We have realized our errors, but, Emperor Qi intentionally put on a troubled expression and said, the mainland's citizens already have a deep faith in the Dragon Court sect. If we destroyed their faith now, the world would break out into chaos. Then, Emperor Qi kowtowed to Yi Qingtang and cried loudly. Immortal Su, please be benevolent and spread the Immortal's blessings to the world in place of the Dragon Court sect. Please be benevolent, Immortal Su. The emperors echoed loudly. The Yuan Kingdom's emperor was delighted as he watched everyone requesting Immortal Su. If Immortal Su replaced the Dragon Court sect and became the only immortal on this mainland, the Yuan Kingdom would definitely become the country closest to immortality. However, Yi Qingtang merely looked at everyone in a detached manner and said coldly, you all want me to succeed these people who offended the majesty of an immortal? Everyone was alarmed by what Yi Qingtang said and broke out in a cold sweat immediately. They said the wrong thing. The Dragon Court sect was a gathering of quacks. How could a dignified immortal clear up the mess of a group of quacks? No, no. No. It was a slip of the tongue. I did not mean that. How can you take over the filthy place of the Dragon Court sect? What I mean is, Emperor Qi hurriedly changed his stance and spoke. Is that your immortal skills are powerful. It is our honor to have you on the mainland, and we must naturally worship you. Please do not abandon the world and give us an opportunity. Emperor Qi spoke quickly, and the other emperors repeated his words. It was simply humiliating for her to succeed the Dragon Court sect. However, if the immortal was willing to rebuild a sect, it was naturally the best. By then, they could find an excuse and say that the Dragon Court sect's immortal had passed away and that there was no immortal presiding over the Dragon Court sect. Instead, the immortal world sent another more powerful immortal to lead them. This explanation was perfect. It would not embarrass the emperors and powerful figures and would also satisfy the immortal. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.